Previously on the Yellowjackets. On the verge of making history by sweeping nationals without giving up a single goal, thanks mostly to the raddest goalkeeper in the history of the sport, our heroes, no, our sheroes, were robbed of fame and fortune by the cruel hand of fate and by mechanical failure or possibly pilot error, unclear. But no mere plane crash could keep our intrepid girls and a few dudes down.
Hello, welcome to House of R. We're in studio. I'm Joanna Robinson. That's Mallory Rubin. We're here to talk about Yellowjackets. Mallory, how you doing?
I'm as thrilled as I could possibly be for two reasons. One, you're here. We're together in person. Two, Steve did tell us right before recording that he was prepared to bring us a Tattersall Oopsie Daisy tray.
With the boopsie bacon?
With the boopsie bacon.
Wow, we're so lucky. Thrilled. It's Yellowjackets season 3.
Yes.
It's a 2-episode premiere.
Mm-hmm.
We're here to talk about episodes 1 and 2 of Yellowjackets. We're thrilled. If you're like, hey, you've never covered Yellowjackets before on this feed, well, guess what? We covered it on the Prestige TV podcast feed, but now we've stolen it back to House of R. We've captured that bone for ourselves, and it's Mallory Rubin and yours truly. And we are like being back in, we have other things to say, but I just want to say really quickly, I'm delighted to be back covering Yellowjackets.
Same.
I love this show.
Yeah.
And I conceptually knew that, but in putting this together, I was like, wow, I just like love this show. I'm so excited.
Tears streaming down my face reading the outline that you put together at the very normal hour of 1 a.m. because I was in hysterics. I was laughing so hard, and I was just like, it feels right to be back in the wilderness with you.
Yeah.
It feels right to be back in the pit with you.
Yeah.
More crucially, it feels right to watch. We haven't issued our spoiler warning yet, but a certain someone
Go in a pit.
into a pit.
A pit.
A thrill.
All right.
A thrill.
Let's do program reminders.
Let's do it.
Shall we? Okay.
Yeah.
So over on Prestige feed, we should say,
Yeah.
we're going to be doing our regular House of R cadence 2 a week sort of thing. We're going to be covering Yellowjackets week to week. We're very excited to do that.
Yes.
But also, you and I are covering White Lotus over on the Prestige TV feed with Bill Simmons
Ever heard of him?
on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
We have
I
a
can't
lot to
wait.
say about White Lotus. So you and I are going to be doing 3 podcasts a week, every week.
Minimum. I'm sure we'll have some weeks where a fourth pops up. In fact, we have 4 over 36 hours.
This is fine.
It's great.
If our clothing doesn't change between episodes, you'll know why.
I considered bringing an outfit change actually, but thought with the rain.
Yeah.
Didn't feel like the time.
Okay.
But in future weeks, perhaps I'll keep that in mind.
We'll get you an armoire here.
Credenza, please.
Okay, please.
We're back with Jeff Sadecki.
And it fucks.
Credenza and it fucks.
Okay.
It's a fuck fest.
It's a fuck fest, that credenza. Okay. So that's Prestige. We're also still covering Severance over there. There's a lot going on Prestige feed. You're going to want to tune in for that. And then we will be back later this week, tomorrow, with our Romantasy Valentine's Day Quickie podcast.
Love a V-Day Quickie.
That you guys have sent 1 million emails for, which is
honestly super helpful.
Genuinely thrilling. Thank you so much. So we'll be talking about Romantasy, Onyx Storm, fan fiction, all sorts of
Can't wait.
V-Day fun stuff. And then next week, you and I are covering Captain America Brave New World, and also Yellowjackets.
That's right.
And then over on the Ringerverse, the Midnight Boys, pew pew, they did the Blackest movie draft. Which I'm really excited to check out. And then also, we teased this before, but just in case folks didn't see that, Ringer Quest, which is the in-person with a set and everything D&D campaign that we did with Steve Ahlman as our DM. We taped this several months ago, but it is finally ready for public consumption.
Can't wait.
That will be up on February 18th on Tuesday. You can listen to that if you want to, but we did it with a set. The whole gang was there. All the Midnight Boys, House of R. You want to watch it on our YouTube channel.
Or Spotify.
Or Spotify.
Yeah.
That's a lot that's going on.
Yeah.
How can folks keep track of all of that?
It's easy. Here it is. Follow the pod. Follow House of R. Follow the Ringerverse, follow Prestige TV on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. As just mentioned, you can watch full video episodes of House of R and Midnight Boys Pew Pew on Spotify. Incredible stuff.
Yeah.
You can also, of course, watch our video episodes on the Ringerverse YouTube channel, which in the year 2025, Joanna will no longer allow me to call new.
No.
It's old.
It's old news.
It's old.
But still fresh.
Hit subscribe to that. Yeah. Then while you're at it, follow the Ringerverse on the social media platform of your choosing. And who are we to tell you what that should be? But we're out there. Find us.
Yes, on one of those. Make your own choices.
And then send us your emails, right, Joe?
hobbitsanddragons@gmail.com.
Send us your Yellowjackets emails in future
Please.
weeks. Keep them coming throughout the season. Send your emails about, Daredevil is about to start.
Sure.
We're not that far away from Andor. Last of Us.
Night of the Seven Kingdoms. It's a great time to be House of R.
Thrilling.
Yellowjackets, we love your theories. We love your sort of Greek mythology allusions. You guys are really good at sort of parsing out a lot of details that we might have missed. So we would love to get those emails from you. We will read them on the pod.
Is this a good time to say, by the way, that we're watching on screeners and thus cannot pause and freeze frame? should we mention that right at the top?
We do at least have closed captions this time because I had a terrible flashback to last season when I was trying to translate some uncaptioned French. Wasn't a great time for me. We have captions this time, but we cannot freeze frame to pour over little details of things.
Yeah, we might be catching up on some. Oh, it would be great to go on the
frame by
bar
frame on
the next week's pod.
Okay,
who knows?
Spoiler warning.
Yeah.
Season 3, episodes 1 and 2. It's a double premiere, so if you've not watched episode 2 yet, we will be talking about it. And now that we've issued that spoiler warning, Mallory, Rubin, do you want to say it? Mari.
Get in the fucking pit.
Get in the fucking pit. Okay, great. Episode 1 is titled It Girl.
Yes.
But actually Pit Girl.
Wonderful stuff.
Written by Jonathan Lisco, Ashley Lyle, and Bart Nickerson. Those are the creators of the show, wrote this episode. And directed by Bart Nickerson in his Yellowjackets directorial debut. And then Dislocation, written by Rich Monahan and Ameni Rosa, and directed by Billy Woodruff. And Billy, who has done a previous Yellowjackets episode, also directed the film Honey, the Jessica Alba classic Honey, Beauty Shop, a couple episodes of Bridgerton, and a metric ton of music videos, among other things. So if you felt any Honey vibes from episode 2, that would be director Billy Woodruff. We've got a few little segments.
Yeah.
Some are returned, some are new.
Yeah.
At the top, before we get into the episode, we're going to start with the unreliable narrator / hallucinator / dreamer counter.
Yes.
Mallory, you want to take us through this? We like to track who is off their particular rocker in any given episode, because there's a lot of fun dream space, a lot of fun hallucinations that happens in these shows, but we want to make sure that we are don't believe everything you see. Who's showing us what's true and who's showing us what's not this season.
Absolutely. So as is so often the case, multiple characters are going to be present in this segment in multiple timelines. So that's always nice. Taissa.
Yeah.
Present timeline. Hooking up with Van against the wall in an alley
while Bush
after
plays.
Dine and Dashing while Glycerine plays. Just living the dream, frankly. That was a thrilling television moment.
Yeah.
We'll get into all of the particulars. A life was snuffed out in that sequence. And then Taissa saw our old pal, No Eyes.
No Eyes.
A harbinger of death and doom, since Ty was a small child, saying goodbye to grandma. No Eyes, of course, tried to lead Ty over the cliff in season 2 a couple times to symbol trees, etc. So always alarming. And it was alarming here. And Taissa did not tell Van about it.
Never welcome, never invited.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Next, Misty hammered. 7 shots of rail
whiskey. Rail whiskey.
What a season 3 start for Misty. Just sensational.
I think Christina Ricci is my MVP of these 2 episodes.
Couldn't be a better start for Misty.
Yeah.
Sees the ghost of Natalie in the mirror behind the barkeep, but it is young Natalie. Joanna. It is young Natalie, and I think we should assume that this means that Juliette Lewis was definitively not coming back.
Not for even a haunting cameo.
What did you make of this? Because we have seen the ghosts of young Jackie.
Yeah, haunting Shauna in season 1.
But Jackie, that was it, right?
Because we never had an adult version
Jackie.
of Jackie.
So, of course, that's how Jackie lives on in Shauna's mind, whereas Misty and adult Nat had some very formative experiences together.
I feel like if it were not the case that Juliette Lewis left the show in a I don't want to be on the show anymore moment in her life, that would have been adults Nat.
Seems right.
Yeah.
Seems right. Travis.
But I'm never saying no to more Sophie Thatcher.
No, it's wonderful to see Sophie always. Travis is really going through it.
Yes.
Everybody on the show, including all of the viewers of the show at home, are like really fond of the Doomcoming episode. And so we do have the mushrooms back in the mix.
Yeah.
And Travis consumes the mushroom tea and hears, well before the rest of the group hears it, the screaming, shrieking, chittering cries.
It's a lot of chittering. And I think you know.
You don't love a chitter.
Blanket anti-chitter.
It's a no to a crevice.
Yeah.
And it's a no to a chitter.
It's an absolute, like I would get in a crevice before I would listen to a chitter. That's
if
how
you
I feel.
were in a crevice, if you had wound up in a crevice and then you heard a chitter.
I would simply perish.
What
if there was also scuttling? There's scuttling and chittering inside of a crevice.
Absolutely not.
Might be my number one nightmare.
Can't happen.
Great.
I do have some theories about what we might be hearing here, but I'll save it for when we hit that in the episode.
Thrilling.
And then speaking of the chittering, the screaming, also there's some crying, some baby cries in there. After Travis issues the very spooky to Lottie, like you really don't hear that, you will.
Yeah.
It is in fact proven true. Everybody hears it, not only at the camp, but Mari, who has fallen into the pit, wonderful, and is thus a physical distance separated from them, also hears it.
Yeah.
And mentions it to Ben. So fascinating. And then speaking of Ben, speaking of Coach Scott, who is rocking a just astonishing beard at this point.
Oh.
I think it's great. It's lush. I mean, and it was a big moment when he shaved toward the end of season 2. So one of the many hair follicle markers that help us really get a sense of the passage of time.
Natalie's roots are our number one marker, but the coach beard is also.
Ty's hair is longer.
Yeah.
I really need some Wig Watch TM with Joanna Robinson TM. Travis.
Hair commentary. We can just cut hair in the wilderness. It's okay. You don't need to make someone wear a wig.
Yeah, they obviously have like a number of knives.
Yeah.
Which they use to
fashion housing,
throats and bleed out corpses.
But they're also like doing delicate like whittling and like
you can cut some hair.
Clothing shredding, you know?
Ben living on his own in the cave system under the roots of the simple trees. I could see why he would have some longer hair.
Some insulation.
He's having something else, and it's conversation. It's robust conversation. When he takes Mari prisoner, wonderful.
when he knocks her out and hogties her?
Absolutely. I just I'm sorry, delighted. And then kindly gives her some hot chocolate. She's enjoying it. You're going to share some thoughts on the closed captioning of that segment. And then Mari, we just see the kind of shadows cast on the wall. Ben is having a very heated, imploring discussion with we don't know whom. Is it Paul, the boyfriend he was hallucinating about and having visions about, who was also like calling the wilderness to say, he's not quite ready yet, give him a little more time? Is he possibly talking to Javi's mystery friend? There are other possibilities. So the question of, what exactly is happening there is a ripe one for us and Mari.
What's your guess?
I think he is talking to Paul. Yeah.
Tree person or ghost boyfriend? Yellowjackets, we're back, baby. Okay. I'm going to run through quickly our meta line counter. This is just something that I thought was fun in this episode. Van and we already heard some of Van's, but Van and Shauna get like dueling recaps, including the line previously on Yellowjackets. And I did look it up, and that was something that he started. I was like, were they even doing that in the 90s previously on whatever show? But they did. They started in like the 80s doing that. And then when Shauna says to Melissa, wait, do you like have a personality? Which was just like a fun moment of like bringing Melissa, a very much a background girl in season 2, to the front, who seems like she's going to have a much bigger role to play in season 3.
Yeah.
like Shauna might as well have been looking to the camera when she says, wait, do you have like a personality now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you an actual full-fledged character now? Welcome to the party, Melissa. We'll see. My pals Kristen and Jenny, who host their own Yellowjackets podcast, were like, is gay a personality? Was sort of their assessment of that. And my response is we can't all have winning personality traits like likes animals and is a bitch, which is Akila and Mari. But there we go. And I say that with love because I love a bitch. All right. So what's on the menu is a new thing that I thought I would track because we get a lot of eating on this show, not just of friends and pals in the wilderness, but also they like to play games sort of with echoing that with meals in the present.
Yep.
The Sadeki kitchen is like often a source of profound confusion for us.
Yeah.
Like when they made a savory turkey sandwich out of cinnamon raisin toast.
So deeply distressing.
One of the worst things you've ever seen in a show where they literally eat people. But this is a would you rather. I know that you, Mallory, Rubin, better than everyone else would simply choose not to eat a friend.
For me, I would just simply not eat a friend.
If you were stranded in the wilderness.
Yeah.
But which of these menu items would you most like to eat?
Okay.
A bag of Lay's after definitely not smoking chronic.
Great stuff. Yeah.
Walter Tattersall's Oopsie Daisy tray, which includes eggs over oopsie, boopsie bacon, and Lucky Daisy bottoms up tonic.
Yeah, you really got to get the tonic down quick, though.
Good chug, okay? The Swift Eats intestines delivered by Randy.
Let me just say something quickly.
Yeah.
Randy has never had a bad scene on the show.
True.
Never.
Correct.
Stealth MVP.
And I really feel like he's living his life on his like new scooter delivery service life.
My application at NASA is pending. Wonderful.
Cotton candy wrapped foie gras that you didn't have to pay for.
The chef recommends one bite.
One bite.
Yeah.
Thanks for letting us know. Shauna's braised venison stew, bowl optional, spit required, served with the finest vintage of berry wine.
Yeah. This is just the whiniest shit from Mari. Shauna spit in my stew.
Would you eat stew that Shauna spit in?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Here's what
They're
I would
in the fucking wilderness.
Here's what I would not do.
Yeah.
Were Shauna preparing food for me, I would not mean mug her all day. That's step one.
Not that
we
needed more proof that Mari is the worst.
That Mari needs to go in the pit.
Genuinely poor judgment here. You can't fuck with Shauna like this.
All right. Coach Ben's General Supply peanut butter power bar, which he scarfed in one go.
You can't do that. It's too dry.
Yeah.
You need to nibble.
He basically cinnamon challenged himself. It's not great. Callie's Sundae, which is mostly whipped cream.
As you know, this is just like my nightly snack.
I was like, I literally have that Mallory.
Like every night before bed.
And then tapas, all of them?
Is this your spot?
All of them?
Poor Jeff. Poor Jeff.
Which one are you going for?
I'm going to go with the venison stew.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
It looked delicious.
It did look good.
Yeah.
Like it looked like a very rich, hearty gravy.
Yeah.
Wonderful work from Shauna as usual.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that looked good. I can't accept the Oopsie Daisy tray because I have seen Walter befoul the breakfast experience before when he took the little slice of Canadian bacon and made a savory sweet taco out of it, poured the syrup on it. It was just an absolute no for me. And so
breakfast innovator, Walter.
Innovator, I don't know. And so I don't want anything to do with that. I think I'm going with the
stew.
Yeah, I think I'm going with the stew. What about you? You going foie gras, cotton candy lollipop?
No, here's what I have to tell you.
Yeah.
Right now.
You don't like cotton candy.
I don't actually, but that's not why
I
we're
once
here.
had 17. 17. This is true. At a bat mitzvah in Owings Mills, Maryland, somebody had a cotton candy maker.
No.
I'll say they were doing, so they're doing this
like
roll.
Mini,
it was
mini
smaller
cone,
portion.
A small cone.
I don't know that I could call it mini, but it was definitely not like a full, robust plume.
Yeah.
But I had 17 of them. 17 at one bat mitzvah.
It's
been all downhill since. That was when I peaked.
And all of your teeth are still in your head and we don't know why. I will say this. I think you should never underestimate a bag of classic Lay's. I think classic Lay's potato chips.
Okay.
There's something very... Yeah. What's your face?
We just have so many better chip options at this point.
No, but there's like something... I used to work for this nonprofit and we would do this like fundraiser dinner every year where our boss would like make fried chicken and then and old fashions and then serve classic Lay's potato chips with onion dip. And it was just sort of like, it was just sort of like, here are the classics.
You wouldn't have wanted a heartier chip? Did anyone at that gathering ask how it could be profitable for Frito-Lay?
How could it be profitable for Frito-Lay? Thanks for referencing one of my favorite movies of all time.
Very
all right,
cool.
let's break down this episode. This is a double episode premiere. We have a lot to get through. We are, as usual, going to go sort of by character groupings and timeline groupings. We're not going to go chronologically. We would be here all day, which sounds like a dream, honestly.
Sounds so fun.
But we're going to start in 1997.
Okay.
With pretty much everyone
Mm-hmm.
is this grouping. And in our first but certainly not last Lost reference of, oh, actually, I think you already referenced the smoke monster. Did you not? I don't know. Anyway, we're going to talk about Lost a lot. It's something we do on this podcast. Guys, when are we? Very helpfully, we find out that it's been 6 weeks after the season 2 finale.
I just thought it was devastating that we found this out because it's like how long Missy has gone without anyone checking in on her.
Yeah.
Very upsetting.
A lot of upsetting things happened to Misty in this
Very
episode.
upsetting.
And then in the past, it's summer solstice, 1997.
Festival time.
It's June 21st. We've got a date.
What did you think about the time jump? What did you think about not picking up exactly in the moment where we ended?
I liked it because I too was sort of tired of snow time and was ready for some sunshine.
Interesting.
So, did you not like the jump?
I found it a little jarring at first. I think especially because we know that the wilderness period is a finite period, right? We know they were out there for 19 months because of the like return airplane sequence in the season 2 flash of them being returning, getting off the plane before Lottie screams really loudly. And so I just feel like every one of those moments out there is precious, and jumping through a considerable swath of time, and then I think like finding them with a camp setup and a life that felt shockingly stable.
No, I love this though.
Okay, tell me why.
It's just going to be like
we watch it fall apart again.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
We can make temporary paradise for ourselves.
I just like want to see them build the teepees, for example.
Oh
right.
Yeah. You want Akila's like YouTube how-to
video. I want to
video.
know where she found Mortimer. Okay, we're only a few minutes in.
Yeah.
We're not at the Mortimer party, but Joanna, I'm so afraid. I'm scared. Protect Mortimer at all costs. Obviously, they are raising the animals to eat. I understand that. Would I rather they killed and ate each other and kept Mortimer safe? I would. I would.
Okay, so you simply would not
name the dog.
You simply would not. You simply would not eat a friend. But what if it was your friend or Mortimer?
Which friend?
Me.
No, I'd protect you at all costs. I would say take me instead and let Joe and Mortimer thrive. I couldn't go on if anything happened to either of you.
I like this contrast. I do feel like what it's pointing towards is maybe we only have like one more season. Like we're going to get 4 seasons of Yellowjackets.
Yeah. Well, so this was my big question.
It's kind of okay with me.
Or do you think that puts a definite like end cap on the overall length of the show? Or do you think it's possible that, you know, like Oliver Queen was only stranded for so long, right? Do you think there's a chance that we have a future season where we're not in the wilderness at all, but we still are in multiple timelines and we're spending more time in 98, 99, 2000, et cetera? Does that just seem not possible? Yeah.
I would say diminishing returns on Green Arrow, and I wouldn't want that for Yellowjackets. So with love and respect to the flashback wigs on Oliver Queen. Okay. So we open with Mari running.
Thrill of my life.
And it felt to us, I mean, the episode 1 ends with her in that pit. And if you guys are just joining us for Yellowjackets in season 3 and you weren't with us in previous season, all of season 2, we were yelling about Mari getting in the pit. Because we did not like Mari. We wanted her to be pit girl. We wanted her to get in the pit. And this is like a Valentine's Day present for us, we feel like.
Absolutely
from the showrunners. We are not the only ones who wanted Mari in the pit, who hated Mari, but like.
It did still feel like a love letter to us. To us and for us.
But they're running. They're not running because they're hunting, people like they did in previous seasons. They're running because they're playing a game. They're playing Capture the Bone, a name we will continue to workshop.
Yeah, Capture the Bone. They need to save that for the next group orgy. Yeah, I think
that's Travis's game. You know what I mean? That's when Travis is running.
We should call this something else.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I thought it was really fun to not only have that bait and switch, not only to have the Mari running through the woods moment, but also to watch them. These are athletes. We met them playing soccer, watching them play soccer together. So to watch them like relish running through the woods in competitive pursuit, Shauna particularly competitive.
killer.
Yeah, an absolute
Killer.
lethal killer who still lost. So,
Well, and she was not thrilled about it.
No.
Yeah, especially because like we saw that violence so early on the practice field.
Yeah.
Of course,
with Ty.
shout out Allie, drama bond. But I loved the way that this played with our expectations in so many respects. We see Mari running. I just assume right away, someone has pulled the queen card
They're
again.
hunting Mari.
We're on the hunt, and not only that aspect of it, but the team dynamics, right? You have something like Ty and Van are on opposite teams. So it's like, oh, you duped me. And one of the things that we really love tracking across the first couple seasons is who is opting into the possibility of the supernatural at a given moment and who is resisting it and really be like trying to be the voice of reason. This is coincidence. There's always an explanation. And also, what are the alliances? And that is a liquid thing. Like that is always shifting and moving, and there are some more stable bonds inside of it.
Yeah.
But one of the cool parts of the show has been that we have like never been able to remain super confident in a good way for long about like, this will for sure be the camp. This will for sure be the other camp. The ability to team up based on a given moment. We see it inside of this episode, right? Like Misty going over to Shauna to rat on Nat.
And I had watched some Survivor when we covered Yellowjackets, but I was thinking, I'm constantly thinking about Survivor, and I'm like, we're snitching, we're blowing alliances.
You have to always have more than one final three. You have to
constantly move.
You got to tell 4 people that you're number 1.
If you're not moving, then you're dead. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and I have to imagine that these teams were formed by probably not even like schoolyard pick, that they were like probably like drew cards or whatever.
Yeah, they love to draw things.
They do love to draw.
Great moment in the present timeline when Callie's like, anything but cards.
Yeah, exactly.
What is it with you guys and cards?
Not that. But so we get the girls playing. We get to see Nat in the past. Phenomenal wig, incredible root work on the wig.
This
on
also
Sophie
felt like
Thatcher.
it was for you and you alone.
Yeah,
because you, as a scholar of wigs,
all things follicular,
how long it takes to have a dye grow out, you were perplexed by how much root we saw on Nat's hair in season 2. So this felt like in sync with the passage of time in a way that it had not previously.
I think so. And I think mostly they just want to get to a point where they can cut those bleach ends off and just not make Sophie Thatcher wear a wig anymore.
Except when she appears to Misty as a ghost in a bar mirror after 7 shots of real whiskey.
But I think wigs play better via ghost bar mirror than they do running around in the wilderness. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It seems like a pain in the ass. And Sophie Thatcher, who was great in Heretic, is in Companion, now in theaters. Scream Queen, that's
scary.
That's the dark hair that she's rocking, and I feel like they just want to like let her get to that. Okay, so we that needle drop was rancid, Maxwell murder.
Yeah.
Then we transitioned to Cat Stevens' "Morning Has Broken" 1971, the kind
Absolutely
of dad
wonderful
music that Mallory loves and enjoys.
As you know, one of my genuine favorites.
Me too, but that felt like it was for you. The Cat Stevens.
I loved it, giving us this like. Not just the
you're like a real T for Tillerman.
I love T. Love T for the Tillerman. Love the peace, the calm, but also that idea of a new dawn.
Yeah,
as we move through the glistening sunlight and rippling leaves into their beautiful new camp.
But it was just the needle drop was so perfect because they're showing us all these idyllic imagery. We've got bunnies hopping. We've got girls braiding each other's hair. We've got a giggly game of telephone with Travis. Like all this sort of stuff is going on. But it's just also because we're in with love and respect to Cat Stevens, Yusuf Islam, like that early 70s, late 60s music always just sort of like gives you a little like, and then things went real bad, did they not? And then we got the Manson family, et cetera, et cetera. And so the Manson family vibes are here. We're in this sort of like idyllic compound, but like the piece is so fragile.
Oh yeah.
And so just giving us that music, giving us this imagery, and giving us, very crucially, a shot of New Jen. Welcome to the party. New Jen, we're season 3, we're still recasting girls in this show.
You think this is just a bit at this point? Like every season we have to have swapped someone out just to keep you guessing?
She does the slow-mo walk towards the camera with all the like pheasants that she's caught or whatever, and I was just like, who?
I know. Now, maybe Jen has a starring role to play in the remaining 8 episodes of season 3. But like when Akilah was recast, Akilah had a big role in season 2. Who can forget Nugget? Not us.
Not us.
Jen had like 2.5 lines across these 2 episodes. Yeah. And as far as I can tell, it's basically just like Jen has learned to use the rifle and hunt because Natalie has other responsibilities in the story now.
Yeah.
So we'll see what the recasting was for.
I'm sure that Jen will have something to do.
Yeah.
I understand that she only had a couple lines, but like she's on the on the town council.
Yeah.
It's like a small town council.
Fucking brutal for Misty. Do you need me to take minutes?
It's Van, it's Ty, it's Nat, and it's Jen. That's the leadership council. Mm-hmm. So I think Jen will have something important to do.
Okay.
I do want to take a moment to talk about the structures that they're living in.
Yeah.
I have to believe that Akilah built these. She's the one who built the crib in season 2, or at least supervised the building of these exquisite structures. Like, I would pay a lot of money on Airbnb to stay in a warm climate in these structures that are not like sort of watertight, but like
these were too nice.
Oh, way too nice.
There's
one that's just like a swirling circle.
The circle is where they lost me. Like, I broadly really enjoyed the 2-part premiere, but this actually just defied belief.
Yeah.
And then I started thinking, you've already invoked Survivor. Well, does it? Because usually within a day on Survivor, they've built a structure that, while canonically established as very uncomfortable on the spine and hips, I am always like, that looks pretty good.
Well, it depends on the camp.
It does depend on the camp. And then they still end up waiting for a tarp.
Yeah.
They have to try to win the tarp. These looked like they would be featured in like Architectural Digest or something. I mean, these were stunning.
An Ojai sort of writer's retreat.
Yes.
Yeah. Glamping.
So I just don't think that they could have pulled this off.
I never underestimate Akilah. She's got a lot of time on her hands. Okay. Van in a deeply sick, again, we must admire the arts and crafts technique, jacket situation.
Great
it's
stuff.
Not quite
Van.
a Letterman's jacket, but it will do. It was incredible.
They seem to boost the scar too. The scar seemed more prominent.
Is it more prominent? Okay, you did a more close rewatch than I did.
It seemed like angrier.
I thought it just looks beautiful.
It looked great.
Yeah.
Because I one of the weird things for me in season 2 that I kept bumping on, and I'm like, sorry, they have professional like plastic surgeons.
Yeah.
And I guess professional architects.
Yeah.
And engineers. Like, how could the scar look that good that quickly? And it still looked beautiful, but this felt to me like more where the pigment should be. So I appreciated that adjustment. And Van looked great, as always. They're killing it.
Van is like, so as we assess the various roles, the leadership roles that we have here, we've got Nat is our boss. She's the leader, right? Because she was chosen. The voters chose her.
Mm-hmm.
Lottie is sort of like our priestess figure. She's not on the town council. She's not in the core leadership.
I would say that other than her leading of the prayer, she's fairly frantically trying to reestablish her connection. She no longer hears the wilderness. It doesn't speak to her. And as a result of that and Natalie's ascension, Lottie is missing that power and looking for it.
Would you say that do you feel like Lottie had a role to play in Nat's ascension, or do you think that happened independent of Lottie?
I think that whole stretch in season 2 where Shauna pummeled Lottie's face into a state very reminiscent of the venison stew that she spit in this episode. And Lottie was so ill and everything happened with, eat, if I die, like, eat me, let me save you. And then, no, this isn't what I wanted with Javi and everything, not hearing the wilderness anymore, that crisis of faith. And then that filling of the gap. The people Natalie did not want that, right?
I don't want it.
Right. Natalie's our John. Lottie, unsure now how to proceed. But Nat was the preeminent. I mean, there were a lot of Shauna and Nat plotlines in season 2 where they challenged Lottie for different reasons. Shauna with the baby, Natalie because of Travis. But they were constantly challenging the idea of her supremacy and the way that she held the group in thrall, right? And in her sway. So like that inherent conflict in their outlook, I think positions them as like unlikely to ever be in lockstep with each other.
Absolutely not. I just feel like Lottie, inside of the ritual of everything, I feel like Lottie sort of set Nat up to be the leader, right?
Yeah, definitely. And then like the resentment.
And then is like ruining the day that she did that. And what we're watching then in this sort of like springtime super functioning society is like, what does a Nat leadership? What is it like rationality? Is that what you would say Nat is, versus the like chaos of a Lottie leadership versus the brutality of a Shauna leadership?
Right.
Like what do these various versus whatever it is that Ty thinks that she can bring to the table?
And they all think they'd be better.
Not all. Ty and
Shauna, for sure.
And Shauna definitely think it would be better than Nat. And I'm sure Lottie believes that
How
as
could
well.
it not be me? Shauna scrawling that in her journal previously.
Shauna's really pushing some things in this episode. Okay. And so Van is sort of this like MC master of ceremonies, sort of like a gregarious performer kind of character. I really like the comparing her performance here as sort of when she says our annual winter solstice and Achilles like annual.
That was an incredible little moment.
Sorry, summer solstice, yeah.
Because the horror at hearing the word annual, but like Van, even though like throughout the rest of the episode, there's a still insistence, we will be found, we will get out of here, it will be okay. That resignation has creeped and seeped its way into just their very speech.
Yeah.
Like, this is our new tradition. We're just going to be here at this time next year.
Right.
Like,
and
that's
Achilles
a horrifying sign that they just think this is life now. I love not only, obviously, the cuts between Van and
Shauna's journaling,
which have the very practical, catching us up on what we missed, but also, again, that establishing of the rivalry, the tension, where is there a new fissure? The other thing I loved about it was this like very Lord of the Flies-esque myth making. The way that the stranded will start to hit the phase where they go from fear and terror and resistance to the embrace. Well, this is the society we have forged, and aren't we the heroes because we made it, because we've lived?
We're the chosen.
Yeah.
There were miracles. Like, we lost people, sure, sad, but the wilderness chose.
Yes.
It was not we didn't kill our friends and eat them. The wilderness chose, and the miraculous bounty that we received in exchange but makes it worth it.
Right.
That was like there was the contrast between what Van was saying and what Shauna was saying, Shauna's personal agitation, to put it mildly, et cetera, et cetera. But the main place that they overlapped with this idea of like, and then miracles occurred.
Right.
Right.
Well, but Shauna seemed to really resent that.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. And it's like, so the fact that they're like, she's like, well, let's look at the ledger on the sacrifice front.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so far ahead, or I guess behind the rest of you, and what I have lost.
Yes.
I lost my best friend.
Yes.
I lost my baby. So how dare you all invoke the idea of sacrifice, even though, of course, everybody has suffered greatly. The fact that within a few minutes of this episode kicking off, we got that level of vitriol and misery and anguish from Shauna, along with like I thought just genuine hysterical top tier comedy of she bites Mari's hand and Mari's like, I was just the decoy bitch, and Shauna's like, that's backwards, you moron.
Yeah.
Like, no matter how sad Shauna is, she never misses the ability to just like issue a withering barb. She's the best.
Shauna at the Tapas restaurant is something I'm really excited to talk about in a second. Okay.
So good.
Part of the myth making that you're referencing, part of this like, story that Van is telling that we hear at the beginning of the episode, we have cast a villain, and it's Coach Ben. A murderous psychopath, a monster.
Burned our home. Or did he?
Yeah, or did he? Seems like maybe not. But that is like extremely important that we have cast a villain. It's not just like, it's not us versus the harsh wilderness. It's all of we girls plus Travis versus this bearded man in the woods who is our enemy, who Nat is protecting, which is going to be bad for her leadership position.
Going to be tough for Nat. Yeah.
Okay. What do we want to say? Okay. The girls are sunbathing.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the girls are sunbathing. And this made me think of Shannon on Lost.
Of course.
I had to say. I love you, Shannon. I'm thinking of you always. But here's Amari, who is sunbathing, who won the game, so they get to be queens for the day, and the losing team has to be their servants. Mm-hmm. And she says, Jeeves could you bring a bottle of some berry wine over here? And here's my question about Mari. Do we think she knows who Jeeves is? And later she makes a Silence of the Lambs reference.
Yes.
So like, is Mari supposed to be our culture vulture? But then we're about to get to an incredible line detailing how stupid Mari is. So is Mari pop culture savvy, but like life skills stupid? Or like, what's the deal with Mari?
Great question.
Or is this just the writers? Sometimes writers just like to be like, I know references, so I'll put them in there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's I'll accept it and allow it no matter what, just because we now get to say, it pops its knee back into place. It does this whenever it's told. So that's a thrill for us. But it could be that Mari is actually a consumer of culture, a student of the world, and that all of these other people in her life who just kind of think she's an asshole like to call her dumb.
I think knowing pop culture references makes you really smart, and everyone should honor that. Ask Jeeves, by the way, which was a search engine, was founded in 1996, which is right when they crashed. So it's possible that she knows Jeeves not because of PG Woodhouse, but because of AskJeeves.com. All right. So this is what Shauna says. I can't believe we didn't eat her first about Mari.
Maybe my favorite moment in the history of the show.
And then has a moment where she was like, oh, maybe that's even too far even for me. But Melissa seems into it. And Melissa's like, I can play. And Melissa says, this is my favorite line. Mari's so dumb. I heard she like chipped her tooth on a vibrator.
Remarkable stuff from Mel. What were the vibrators made of back in 96 before this plane took off?
There are hard plastic vibrators, but I don't know the history of the material of a vibrator. HobbitsandDragons@gmail.com.
Yeah. Great moment to remember that this entire series opened with Shauna in the present day masturbating.
Organically.
On her daughter. She had a sex toy on her daughter's bed while looking at a photo.
Yeah. Of her daughter's boyfriend.
Of her daughter's boyfriend.
It's totally fine.
Yellowjackets.
It's normal. Okay.
Tossed it into the laundry basket after she was done.
I forgot about that. Thank you. Thank you for reminding. Mallory wants you all to know that she rewatched every single episode of season 1 and 2 of Yellowjackets.
That scene I remember, and how much else I've retained, who could say?
Okay, Akilah shows up with this fern crown that Lottie has sort of like instructed her to make for Shauna, and Shauna's like, fuck off.
Yeah.
The fern crown goes on the ground. Melissa steps on it. Again, Melissa really trying to curry favor with Shauna.
Yeah. And that's the old, you'll prove it with your actions, not just your words.
Yeah.
She just crushed that thing. That was great.
And she was sort of like aligned with Akilah last season, Melissa. Like, you know what I mean? Like she and Akilah as like they're the JV girls, right?
Yeah, Akilah came up from so the fact that Lottie, this was really striking to me. Like, but again, it felt right that even though some things have changed in the power dynamic, this like central thing about Lottie has not.
Yeah.
Shauna could not have been clearer in season 2 that she did not like, appreciate, or want Lottie to be interested in her child in this way, right? The whispering to her womb as Shauna napped, the blanket with the symbol on it.
I mean, we didn't want that either.
Nobody wanted it.
Nobody wants Lottie to do anything ever, and yet she keeps getting away with it.
And so then to make this headdress for Shauna and have Akilah as the messenger say, well, because like you're his mother. It's about the baby again. This is outrageous.
Lottie is set my blood pressure through the roof inside of this episode with her constant mushroom teaing. Oh my God, and then we should note, so she's got this interest in the child, as she calls it, when they're doing the service.
Yeah.
But the episode ends with Lottie in the present day sort of cozily ensconced with Shauna's other child, with her daughter.
So this is the most insidious thing happening through 2 episodes to me, because one of the really deeply harrowing stretches of that Lottie, Shauna baby stretch of season 2 was the specific moment where Lottie's like, she keeps saying he, right? Yeah. Like has had visions, has a sense of the future for this child. The fact that the child that dies is actually really the shaking of the faith moment for Lottie, right? Oh, I got it wrong. I missed something. I've lost my connection.
Child.
Yes.
Exactly.
So for Lottie to say like, you're going to change everything about the baby. And now, and this happened in the woods. Like we talked about the way that Lottie looked at Callie when she saw her in the woods in the season 2 finale. And now the way that she's looking at her in their home. High comedy on just the like arrival at the Sadecki home.
Oh,
but
yeah.
this part was fucked up, and like you just know that Lottie is like, oh, I wasn't wrong, actually. I was just late.
Because
it's this kid instead.
I don't
Callie
know
will
that
change
I believe.
everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
like
horrifying.
100% that she's got her eyeballs on Shauna's other
You
kid.
understand better than anyone.
But I think that like, do you think that Lottie is lying about, because she has all his family money?
Mhm.
Like, I don't think she's destitute with no place to go.
No, she just wants to be near Callie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
We agree. We're of an accord. Okay.
I mean, those Sunshine Honey coffers must be full still.
absolutely.
That farmer's market was a bustling.
One trip to the Differently Sane Asylum is not going to bankrupt your coffers. You know what I mean?
Differently Sane was
Van got some good ones in this
remarkable.
episode. Okay.
Remarkable.
Solstice Feast.
Mhm.
The girls plus Travis are dressed up in outfits that remind us a lot
Yes.
of the vision sequence of them feasting like Maenads, like Greek gods and goddesses on Jackie in season 2. And so we get this sort of like
snacky. Let's adhere to the canon.
I agree, but like snacky is when she's like an ear. When
Yeah,
she's the
snacky
whole
is the arm Pringle phase.
When
You're
she's
right.
like a whole feast.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. When she's just
She's like a
brisket.
jacquet, a banquet. I didn't get there. Okay, we tried. But anyway, so they're dressed in these cloaks, sort of reminiscent of that.
Yeah.
They look amazing. Everyone looks incredible. This was my breaking point. Yours was the teepees look too nice. My question is, where did all these white sheets come from? There are other things that they've repurposed on the show that I'm like, I believe. So
Yeah.
Akilah has this like sort of like knotted knit poncho thing that could have been made of scraps of anything.
Mhm,
That makes a lot of sense to me. Where did these white sheet cloak things come from?
I have no idea. None. And like the cabin catches fire so quickly. They're
Yeah.
all just desperately trying to like grab the pot.
There wasn't
grab
a
the
robust
knives.
linen closet
And
in that cabin in
they
the
didn't
first
have, like,
place.
fresh white
No.
linens
No.
in the creepy dead hunters forest lair. So yeah, I don't know. I did like though, if we can accept that just frankly does not make sense and shouldn't be possible.
Okay, great.
I did like that shifting of, the Jackie feast. The way that we were cutting between the horror of, the blood gushing down their chins to, oh, it's berry juice.
Yes.
And oh, this dignified feast and this.
Yeah.
We're
gods.
we're not, yeah. And like we've exited the phase of making this palatable by glancing at it through the lens of symbolism. There's no shield anymore. Like they have cloaked themselves and embraced again. Like this is what we will tell ourselves.
Yeah.
We will hold the festival. We will hold the feast. And that just feels like a really effective way of, much more so than just the weather is warm and the hair is longer, showing us how time has moved.
I love
and
that.
showing us how their psychologies have shifted in terms of where they are in their circumstance. So I liked that part of it a lot. But I was like, where the fuck did all of that stuff come from?
I do want to note that Akilah is wearing the fern crown, the previously crushed, now on Akilah's head fern crown. And later we will have Javi sort of like, I wrote in my notes several different times, feed Akilah to Lottie.
Worrying.
Very worrying. But my question is like, do you see a path, as we don't think Nat's going to stay in power the whole time.
No, certainly not.
There, she's got a big old secret she's sitting on, et cetera, et cetera. We don't know who the final antler queen is.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of, we know it's not Misty, not you, Misty, but there's a lot of great theories. Is it Lottie? Is it Shauna? Is it Ty? Et cetera, et cetera. Could it be Akilah? Is there...
Interesting.
Or could she be an interim leader of some kind?
Yeah. I like that. The thing that it made me think when Travis tells Lottie, like, it has chosen someone else. It has, this is why the animals, she's already closer. It just made me think like the clock was ticking on Akilah and she was
we're going to feast on
die.
Akilah? I don't want that.
Because
I really
what
like
does it
her.
mean ultimately? Typically, what does it mean when
you're
it
chosen?
chooses? It's very rarely like a good thing.
It chooses, but there's a whole card system, and we're not going to do this until the frost hits again. You know what I mean, right?
Well, that's a question.
Okay, that is a great question.
Because Mari's like, we don't do that anymore.
We don't have to. We've got
we
all
have
this
a
game.
very, like if there were a restaurant here, they'd be hitting us up as one of their like local
That's
farm
a great
sources.
question. Are we going to
But they like
feed
it.
on a girl?
And they want it.
Not Travis. Travis gets to live. We know that for a while. But like, so it's a girl on the menu. And is it going to happen before it has to happen?
Right.
Because they could tell themselves Jackie was already dead. They had to eat Jackie.
Right.
And
Javi fell into the lake. Couldn't waste him.
I mean, we could have saved him, but we didn't. We watched him drown, but that's okay. Okay.
Oh, man.
Lottie leads a memorial for 3 dead. Javi, Jackie, the child. Not Crystal, I guess.
This is an outrage and a scandal. Okay.
Crystal at least gets a mention from Misty, where Misty's like,
so many people have disappeared without a trace,
including Crystal.
I loved the cut to Misty's face when during Vans previously on, when she's like, and we survived the shit bucket. It's like, not all of us.
Not Crystal.
But not everyone knows that. And they didn't have any mention here either of just all the people who had died in the crash. So they're only dealing with the grave sites that are here.
Well, but also these are specifically like sacrifices to the it, right?
Yeah.
Jackie fed the it. Javi fed the it. The child fed the it, right? The plane crash was just, Laura Lee was just a crazy random happenstance. You know what I mean?
Leonard just caught fire.
Shout out Laura Lee. Okay. We will get to all the mushroom tea, Travis, a little bit in a second, but we get that horrible chittering noise that you mentioned. And then we get
so here's my
by
theory,
Cake,
or my question.
I Will Survive by Cake is one of the best songs of all time.
This was great. Yeah, great. Wonderful to hear. Really good. I mean, always strong music, always strong needle drops and Yellowjackets, but this was a very strong a double premiere on the needle drop front.
Their music budget.
Incredible. Okay. Do you think that there's a chance that the sounds are everyone who's died so far? Because we get like
the
baby crying. We get a roar, which could be the bear. Excuse me, brain dead bear. We hear the birds chirping, which could be the sparrows who fell.
Yeah.
Like, are these the ghosts? Because like Travis, when he's muttering later, like I don't want to see, and I don't want to see them like again. There's this like kind of ghost-like quality, the return of something.
Something we went back and forth with on season 2 constantly. Like, is there a non-supernatural explanation for this?
Right.
We were trying a lot with the birds, and it had to do with like the minerals in the ground and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, is there something that could make all of these birds fall from the sky? Is there something real that could make that noise? Or is your only guess it's the ghosts, it's the ghostly wails, it's the death rattle of everyone we've lost so far?
So Travis, no matter what, Travis has a premonition. Like, he touches the tree, he's high on the mushroom tea, he looks up at the spindly branches, and he hears this exact thing.
I don't know if I would say like, I would like, it's so subjective.
Sure, yeah.
Because Lottie says, is this what you heard?
Right, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And he's high on mushrooms.
He is. Yeah.
So is this the same exact thing?
In terms of the what else could it be, I did like the in-story speculation. Could it be something eating Mari? That was a fun moment.
Well, so we know
it could be what's like the creatures in the Acolyte, in the night episode. Like, well, I mean, what makes this sound?
It could be like there could be speakers, and it could be like a thing that people are piping in
to freak them out.
The
others? Are we getting the others this season?
We have to get others. Yeah. We've got tree friends. We've got a supply drop.
A lot of supplies.
So there's like an organization that is aware that there are people in the wilderness. Right. What are they doing, studying, and what would they gain by scaring or scaring off people with a really loud sound?
Well, and those same people could be the ones who burned down the cabin. Again, it could be the force of it. It could be the wilderness, the darkness. It was time to cast them out.
I just like us always wondering whether or not there's like a non-supernatural explanation for something.
If there are people lurking, Javi's friend, or otherwise, like that just still, of all the moments, the many moments, you think back to when they spotted the cabin in the first place, and it's like, sure, maybe just the sun hit the window in that way, but did it? Or was someone actually like moving the glass to get their attention and lure them? Like, that's always felt really, really, really present.
Yeah.
And I love that idea that they, that someone could be piping the sound to intentionally like drive them to another break, and because the fact that they are in this state of relative calm, you have to then incite fear, terror, uncertainty to destabilize them again.
I think it's interesting because like if they're being studied by someone, if like the stimuli exists to study the psychology of like what would happen to these people in the woods, how quickly can we drive them to eating their friends or like whatever. That's very much the plot of the Amazon show The Wilds, you know, that they were like, we found out in that show The Wilds that like these girls who had crashed on a plane on an island in that show that was canceled. There were like basically two competing, we're kind of doing Lost but teenage girls shows, and it was The Wilds on Amazon and this over here. And The Wilds, they're like psychologically observed, and we found out at the end of season 1 of that again canceled show that there was a boy island that was also being observed.
Right.
So like, would they do that given that it was so close to that show, but that show is canceled, so who cares, I guess?
Yeah.
Or if indeed they are doing this, did they make the plane crash?
Right.
Or are they just taking advantage of the fact that
it did.
Or do the they even exist?
Right.
All good questions, I think.
Still doesn't make sense that the plane wasn't found. Like Misty destroys the
black box,
the transponder, but like a while after they crash.
Yeah. Okay, where did all those white sheets come from? We still have questions. The search for Mari, we don't need to go into it because we've covered a lot of this stuff. We know that Ty thinks she would be a better leader. We know that Misty figures out that Nat is hiding, knowing about Coach Ben.
So here's my question for you.
Yeah.
Okay, we do have the line, and this kind of helped them cover the space a little bit, where when Ty and Van are talking, and they're like, Nat won't even let us look for Coach Scott. Because my question is like, I don't find it probable that he's too close to not have been found by any of them.
How close is he?
Mari ran into his pit.
Yeah, but how long was Mari like throwing her hissy fit?
I mean, how far could she possibly have gotten? In the dead of night?
She was running pretty quickly and captured the bone.
And Nat and Misty, it's true, Nat and Misty, they reach that snare. So it just feels like they're like pretty close together. And obviously he's living underground. He's living in the secret caves. But if this is his hunting area, like again, they covered it technically by making it clear that Nat's the only one looking. We can deduce from how she responds to seeing this trap that she's stumbled upon others and done nothing about it. But I just don't buy that Nat says to them, don't look for Coach Scott, and nobody else comes across any sign of him if there are two things like this proximate to them. Now, the pit was he had just discovered it. So maybe he had not been in that area previously. Yeah. But I don't know. That just felt like, I do think through 2 seasons and now 2 episodes, they're like, some of it, of course, was the necessity of needing to look for Javi or look for food. They can stay closer to home because they have what they need right now. But they're like constantly wandering around and like exploring and looking for stuff. So that felt a little odd to me.
Mari asked the reasonable question. You didn't even smell the smoke?
Yeah. Maybe he was just underground that whole time except when he got food.
Yeah. Or like, I don't know how far he is.
Right.
You're
Why
right
do
that
you
they
think Nat is protecting him? Is it because she still cares despite being like, I never really knew him, we never spoke? Is it because she can't face the judgment in his eyes again, the way he looked at her when she was like,
they had this connection, and then he was like, you come with me, you're not like them.
She's like,
I had Javi. Sorry. Yeah. You know? And so I think that sort of like, yeah, it was real you're not like other girls energy from Coach to Nat. And I think she's just sort of like, I don't want to be exactly like them. Yeah. So I'm going to protect him in that way. That's what it seems like to me.
How long till they find him?
Episode 4.
Oh my God, that's soon. Okay. Exciting.
How long can Mari and Ben be off on their own little side adventure? Who gets eaten first, Coach Ben or Akila?
Ben.
Yeah, but we said that all season 2. We were
like
Ben's next. Lock. Ben's next. He's still here.
You're right.
All right, let's talk about Lottie and Travis. Okay. We don't have to dwell too long here. I just found this like all very particularly dark, given that we know after both Nat and Travis will struggle with addiction issues.
Yes.
And so the fact that she's pressing this mushroom tea on him when he actively does not want to drink it, and then she comes up to him again with the fucking tea when he's like crying and cradling Mortimer.
Yeah. And he's like, I hurt you. Like, I don't want to be this person. I tried to hurt you.
Get a fucking clue and stop, Lottie.
Yeah.
She won't.
Awful.
But like deep, like intentionally
Yeah.
aggravating, you know?
Yeah, again, like Lottie doesn't care about Travis. Now, their relationship has always been fascinating from the, hand to the heart. Couldn't help it. I got a boner moment.
When they scurried off together earlier in the episode, before we found out that they were doing these mushroom tea adventures, I was like, are they fucking? Like, are they going out to fuck in the wilderness? Is that?
Yeah. And just the presumptuous, because Travis is like, oh, everyone's going to look for Mari. I still know the woods really well. Van and Ty, I'll come with you. And Lottie's like, you go on ahead. I need him. Like the presumption.
Yeah. Like she owns him.
Yeah.
But it frustrates me about Travis too, because like I do feel a lot of empathy for him. He lost his father. He lost his brother. Like
he took a bite of his raw heart. He's carrying a lot.
Bite of his brother's heart.
Yeah.
Who among us?
That's a heavy thing to carry.
He's the only guy there that's like a sort of tenuous social position and stuff like that.
Fucked Jackie, then she died.
Yeah.
Finally fucked Nat, and he saw a lot of really strange visions of bright lights and Lottie while they were having sex. He's really gone through it.
But I think that like I'm just frustrated. I understand why sort of like a few people are under her thrall, but I just wanted Travis to say no.
Yeah.
And he never did. And he couldn't even say no. He had to like throw Aquila to the wolves rather than like say, get the fuck out of my face with that mug of tea. I don't want to do this anymore.
Well,
and it's sad. It's sad. I'm not like mad at him. I'm just like devastated.
And right down to, we know that that's not going to change. Like we know that when he dies, I mean, I guess we still have some questions about the truth of what we saw there from Lottie, what we were able to see inside of Lottie's mind and versus what Lottie told Nat, et cetera. But this idea of like Lottie and Travis still being in contact, and Travis, in theory, through if we can believe Lottie's account of it, confiding in Lottie about this desperate need to try to commune with the wilderness and touch death, like for 3 decades, like this was part of his experience. It's just really heartbreaking. However, he did get to basically hear the ends.
Okay. Silver lining.
So that's something. That is something.
Mari and Ben. As I mentioned, Ben lives. He has a beard. He's fashioned himself some very comfily padded crutches. I was just like, I mean, shout out to the teepee construction, the mysterious white sheet cloaks, all that sort of stuff like that. But the exquisitely wrapped,
you got to have the underarm
Yellowjackets like gear padding on his crutches. I was very impressed with that.
I can't believe that his garments remain intact because he doesn't like have. They're all trading clothes and swapping clothes, and he's just like got.
It's just Ben-sized one set of Ben-sized clothing.
I mean, he had his suitcase initially, and I guess maybe like Coach Martinez's, et cetera. But he left. Like he didn't get to go pack up all of his stuff. He had some stuff that he set out with, but he's just rocking his windbreaker and holding on to those crutches, and it's amazing. But now he's got a lot of new supplies.
What like Ben, who seemed like he was setting himself up for a big adventure in Seattle, like
he had so many condoms. He had so
like how many changes
condoms.
of clothes did he also bring? You know what I mean?
It didn't seem like he was planning on wearing clothes very often, honestly.
Well, you got to like at first to lure, and then okay. Anyway, he finds these cases full of supplies, and they say KUH on them.
Yeah.
And they're full of General Supply is sort of the
General Supply
brand name on the thing.
Yep.
Get any guesses as to what KUH might mean, or how the crates got there, who they're for, or anything you want to note about the contents?
We got some batteries, some bear spray, some rope, some lights, some protein bars, some mac and cheese, etc.
Mallory took
supply.
a screenshot.
I tried. It was impossible. But and then we see we see him open one crate when he's down in the pit, and then there's that shot of him up above where we see there are 3. Yeah, 3
multiple
cases, and then looked like maybe like a water jug or something
that he had to drag.
That he's
Great system.
Great system to tie the rope and drag. Ben, he's a thinker.
Yeah. Innovator.
What does KUH stand for? I have no idea. We both, of course, are like, this is so Dharma coded.
This is
finding these supplies with this label.
Lost
incredibly losty. I mean, right down to kind of it being down inside a hatch in a way.
A supply drop.
Yeah.
With black and white generic branded supplies.
Yeah.
With apologies to the Beechcraft in season 1, I think is the most overt lost moment we've had.
More so than Lottie in like her fever vision actually literally opening a metal hatch.
Yes.
Yeah, you might be right.
I think
Those
so.
are like 1A and 1B.
The supply drop.
Yeah. Yeah.
of
It was
generically branded.
Yeah, it's so Dharma.
Should they alphabetize it? Should the mac and cheese go under M for mac and cheese or N for cheese? Cheese.
Great stuff from Misty. So I think this is really good fodder for what you were saying a few minutes ago about the idea of there being not just like others, but that they have a purpose, right? A mission, that there is a group
and they're
there
gonna
who
be
needs
out there for a while.
Right. Supplies, sustenance, to be ready for the unexpected.
Yeah.
This is under a tarp, in a hole in the ground, under wooden planks, under moss and dirt. Like, who knows how many other similar stashes there are out in the wilderness.
Also, how long has that been there?
Yeah. And so like, and that's a good example of something maybe we could actually, when we have it up on the proper streamer, maybe we will be able to actually like see a date on one of those or something. Who knows? I think that's possible. Easter egg hunters hit us up.
Yeah.
But it could just be like, the hunter in the cabin, like put supplies out somewhere, or other people who live there at some point had their supplies in the wilderness. It had a very like either military or like, secret scientific community vibe to it.
The Karma University.
I love it.
Of Hawaii.
Love it.
Okay, great. I'm just going to call it Karma University now as our Dharma Initiative stand-in. Okay. Ben saying, "God damn it, Mari, cut it out." I should have clipped that. We might need it for the future. And this is a little tease for our romantasy pod. I've been like mainlining the Rebecca Yarros books so that I can finish them in time for our romantasy pod that we're recording tomorrow.
You passed me.
I did bypass you.
I told you would, and you did.
I've read almost all 3 books in 2 weeks, I think. It was Fourth Wing was Wing was a reread, but Violet Sorrengail, who's a character in this books, dislocated her knee. I read that page in the same hour that I saw Mari's knee get dislocated on Yellowjackets, and I was like, "Thanks."
Okay.
The wilderness wanted me to know that you just pop back in.
But here's the thing: can you
just pop back in?
Now,
it's fine.
I did genuinely for like my own
you
self-preservation.
Just stick to bite on and just pop it back in. It's fine.
I did not want to Google knee dislocation. Like, I don't want to see these gross pictures. I don't need to actually know.
You don't want to watch a video.
And I am not a doctor. No, I'm not a doctor. So I'm sure that they're right and I'm wrong. Here's the one thing I will say. I watch, I think, clearly more football than the people who make Yellowjackets. That's apparent to me after this.
Yeah.
Because
right.
if a knee is dislocated in a football game, you are done. We're talking shredded. It's like the most devastating injury you can have. It's taking a lot of the ligaments with it. You're out for more than a season, sometimes multiple surgeries. So Mari just popping it back in and then kind of sort of limping a little bit as Ben dragged her later. She's like carrying on totally cogent conversations and luxuriating in a mug of hot chocolate. She should be beside herself in anguish.
Maybe women can just tolerate more pain than professional NFL players. I don't believe that. It's fine. Okay. Mortimer quacking is a caption we got before we were even introduced to Mortimer.
Sweet Mortimer. Yeah.
Akila's walking towards the camera with Mortimer in her arms, and the caption says Mortimer quacking. And I was like, did they just name a duck Mortimer? And then we find out that that's true. Is that caption better than when Mari finally gets a hold of the hot chocolate and we get moaning and slurping from Mari?
We had some really loud, enthusiastic gulping of beverages across these 2 episodes. The Mari hot chocolate, Misty chugging that Benadryl milk rum punch, grenadine punch.
That looks like just like absolute Pepto. So gross.
The payoff of Misty just on the kitchen island. Not the grossest thing still on the
Have I ever told you
about
this holiday that my friends and I invented once?
Is it about vomit? I don't understand that. I'm so alarmed by this transition.
My friend Nate years and years ago, he was like, we drink whiskey on St. Patrick's Day,
Okay.
et cetera, et cetera. He's like, but I really like vodka. He was like, we should have a vodka drinking holiday.
Okay.
And so he came up with Rasputin's Day, which we used to celebrate
Love this.
on Rasputin's either birthday or reported death day. There are many.
Okay.
We made up a song about it, which I can sing to you sometime.
Please.
And then we all got together and we would get together once a year, wear red, and drink vodka-based drinks.
Mm-hmm.
The first year that we did it,
Yeah.
our friend Vivian showed up late to the party with a tray of Jell-O shots.
Okay.
And we were already well into the evening. And then we ate the Jell-O shots.
What
and
flavor?
then we red.
Okay.
We all died because a clear rule of I'm not advocating any of this. This is very irresponsible behavior. A clear rule of Rasputin's Day should be you eat the Jell-O shots first. You should always start with the Jell-O because they will sneak up on you and you cannot eat them later when you've lost sensation in your mouth.
Okay.
So
Wow.
the streets ran red.
Red.
Like red. So when she
horrifying.
vomited up, I was like, she drank the red. You don't drink the red.
How
That's
long
what
did you
I'm
stay
saying.
away from Jell-O shots after that? Like, did you develop an aversion or no? Right.
I will
right back to
only
them.
ever have like one Jell-O shot, and it
believe
must,
I had a Jell-O shot with you
Yeah.
in Austin, Texas
yeah.
last year.
but
Yeah.
it must be first.
Okay.
You
Interesting.
Start with the
Yeah.
Jell-O shot.
Thank you for sharing this with us.
You're welcome.
What a beautiful tradition to know about. My red vomit story is.
I mean,
when
I heard all about your cotton candy excursions.
I got.
This is my version of 17 mini cotton candies. Is that time that the streets ran red with
Listen.
regret?
This should just tell you how much I love an icy because sometimes I do have a few still to this day taste
Yeah.
aversions from things I ate when I was a kid and got sick from. But the red icy, the cherry icy, it's not one of them. I was. My mom and I went to a
I've
movie.
seen you.
Yeah, you know what I do at a movie theater.
Yeah,
It's sick.
It's Sadeki kitchen worthy.
Ungodly. And that's been my routine for some time. And just went to the movie with my mom, had all my favorite snacks, including a very large red icy. Got home, we were hanging out in her bed watching TV. I just turned to the side and just puked everywhere. And has that stopped me from going back to the red ices? No. I mean, I was like maybe 11. But I remember it still. This does remind me to ask you, though, because I mean, this is not the part of the episode we were even talking about, but since
Will this stay in the episode?
Who can say?
It's a good question.
Because of because we're talking about the allergy medicine.
The Coach Benadryl, yeah.
Chekhov's, the payoff of Chekhov's why is the Benadryl in the pantry was immediate. But the other thing that Misty pulled out was expired dog medicine. And I'm just like, it's not to me a question of if Shauna gives that to someone at some point or if Misty gives that to someone at some point. It's just when and whom.
Not only that, but rewatching it in the Sadeki kitchen when Shauna's got the bag of classic Lays and Jeff's like, did you smoke chronic?
Yeah.
There's a pantry POV shot of Jeff. We're inside that pantry in episode 1 as well.
Yes.
So like.
And most importantly, I mean, sure, we can speculate about the eventual plot ramifications of the expired dog medicine, but the true important thing was that Jeff rightly was like, yeah, our daughter's not okay. This isn't normal. We don't close these now?
Yeah.
We just leave these open now?
Is this a pet peeve of yours? I feel very strongly about this.
Adam leaves the kitchen pantry, the
Diana
kitchen
does
cabinets
too.
open all the time. Now, he will be
I'm like, what are we in the Sixth
furious
Sense?
that I'm saying
Close
this.
the cabinet.
He's very tidy, and I'm actually the messy one. But the one thing he does is he leaves the kitchen cabinets open. And yet, when I have a bathroom drawer open, I'm in the middle of using it, he will close it. Why? I don't understand.
I definitely go around closing cabinet doors behind someone. That is something I will do. Okay. I think we've done everything. We've moaned and we've slurped and we've had hot cocoa. And we should say though that like Mari, as much pain she's in, as perhaps perturbed she is to have been, I don't know, pitted and hogtied. How alluring will the promise of further hot chocolate be? Like, what kind of power can you wield? If you have access to fucking sugar. I mean, she lost her marbles because she has not had high fructose corn syrup in months, you know?
Yeah, and I know. She's like, it's been a while since I've chipped a tooth on a vibrator, but, I don't need to be on a liquid diet, but I like to be. Oh, Mari. Get in the pit. Here's my other bang question for you, because he's like, basically like, I need time. Right? He's like, I just need to think I need time. He says that to her. We hear him kind of muttering a very fever pitch version of it. But where are you on the cabin burning thing? Because
No, I don't.
he
Unless
had some shifty eyes, but it doesn't mean he's lying. It seemed like he was almost like alarmed that he didn't know this happened, right?
Unless he, like, if he's talking to a tree friend and the tree friend burned the cabin or whatever, and he's agitated about that.
Right.
Unless he did it in a fugue state,
right?
I do not believe he did it because he was genuinely like, "What do you mean?"
Right. So that is possible, though. That like he's just having this conversation with himself.
100%.
Will they do that? Given that we have like the tie, we have dual ties. Will they do that with another character? I don't know.
I don't know. How good do you think his Gollum and Smeagol impression is? Because I would like to see it. Lord of the Rings hasn't come out yet in this world.
Can you?
But who's to say Andy Serkis didn't get his inspiration from Coach Ben? Do you know?
I mean, the way that he looked at that peanut butter protein bar, he didn't actually say, "Oh, my precious," but it was implied.
Oh,
I think it was
might
implied.
as well have been the closed captioning.
Yeah.
Okay,
so neither of us think Ben actually
I don't
burned
think
the
so.
cabin. It was either a genuine accident. One of the girls did it. Could have been the wilderness. Could have been KUH General Supply, Javi's friend, any number of
Karma
other
University. Yeah.
Karma University. I like it.
Okay,
It's sticking.
we're going to present day.
Thrilling.
Everyone except Misty.
Yeah.
Is involved in it's Nat's memorial service. Callie has gone to school. We'll get back to Callie in a second. After smoking some chronic. But
Joanna, no one calls it that anymore.
you have to stop saying that. It's Nat's memorial service, but her body has already been cremated, and I don't know if that detail is in there to help us understand the passage of time. Like, why has it been 6 weeks and they're only now having the memorial service? Or if it's to cover the fact that Juliette Lewis is like, no, I will not show up to lay in a casket. You better burn that body.
Right. Even if you have eye stones?
Yeah.
No. Just in the big picture sense, I thought one of the immediate season 2 was off to a sturdy, strong start in a way that like filled me with renewed faith. Improvements over season 2 was that while everybody is constantly doing things where like I wouldn't have done that because that's part of the point of the show, they have just wound up in this spiral. We had a lot of moments in season 2, even though we really enjoyed it, where we were like, would Shauna have done that?
Yeah.
And I didn't feel that as much.
No.
In these episodes. Like,
No.
so I think they've corrected there in an important way. And the present timeline was like great.
It was
just great.
so good.
And
like,
that felt like a return to form that we needed. So I was
really
really
very
heartened by
much.
that.
And my main note was like the fact that at the end of episode 2, we've had Shauna and Ty and Van and Jeff are all together at the memorial service.
Yeah.
And Shauna and Jeff and Lottie and Missy are all together in the Sadaki kitchen.
Right.
So like our main note in the present day timeline is like, why are you keeping them separate for so long?
Yeah.
And again, I feel like Mari in the pit is the Valentine's to us. And then having everyone, like so many people in the present day timeline together in these circumstances is a gift to us. Because like
Absolutely.
Van and Ty are mostly isolated in their own storyline inside
Yeah.
of these episodes. But the fact that they're at the memorial service and they have
They
that
go to
sort
the
of,
bar
they go to the
after,
bar
yeah.
afterwards, like that is important that there is this connective
Yeah.
tissue between these characters. At the bar, well, at the service, we should say Nat's horrible mother
This was terrible.
gets up to give the eulogy. And you just have this moment where you're like, as upset as I am, and we really didn't like the end of season 2.
Yeah.
Do not like that Nat is dead. Again, these things happen on shows, happens on Lost,
Mhm.
where actors just want off the show. Sorry, where actors just want off the show, and they don't want to be there anymore. And
Yeah.
so then you have to like contort the plot
Right.
to make that work. And we really all felt that. Like their hands were kind of tied. We really all felt that with the way that Nat exited the show
Yeah.
last season. So I'm sad that Nat isn't there. I'm sad that Juliette Lewis isn't on the show anymore. Juliette Lewis, I come back somehow. She can't. She's cremated. Okay. But I mean, I missed her, but I didn't miss her. And it wasn't
Yeah,
like the show
yeah.
doesn't work without her.
Yeah, and she's present in her absence. Like
Yeah.
she is such a figure and force in their lives. And of course, that is one of the really great things about the multiple timelines.
Yeah.
Is like you still get to be with somebody even when they're gone.
Well,
in
and
another
it's
part
like
of the story.
it's like watching Travis.
Yeah.
Because we started the show with Travis. Travis very quickly we find out is dead.
Yes.
And so watching Travis in the past, you're watching it with this sense of like impending doom. Because we
Yeah.
know who
Mhm.
survives. We know that some of these people are not going to make it out of the wilderness, but we know some people are just
Right.
like never going to be able to recover.
Peace. Yeah.
Never have peace.
Yeah.
And so that happened to Travis and it happened to Nat. So now when we watch Nat, in her most sort of peaceful, self-assured, I'm lying about Coach Ben, but I'm leading the tribe in the wilderness sort of way.
Right.
To know that she's not going to make it in her adult life. She's never going to have like sort of, I don't know if you want to call it redemption, but peace, let's say, is a good one. She's going to die at her funeral. Her terrible mother, who has outlived her, who is horrible, but lives on when Nat is dead.
Never protected her from her father. Blamed her for what happened.
Yeah.
Never cared for her, nurtured her. And all she has to say when she gets up there is like, I pushed her on a swing. She liked to be pushed on a swing and like, that's what a mother does. And now it's over. Like the fact that one of the, to your overall point, which is a really important one. I love that. Like, that note that Shauna hits when she's in her when we're coming back,
can't go back.
Yeah, and like you can feel that in a lot of different ways across different moments for the characters, which is so crucial and central. Like what you were saying about Travis earlier and the tragedy of watching him use substances and have this experience. Like this is also just part of what was so heavy in this stretch with Nat. I mean, there were a lot of things. Like it's the mother. There's always that devastating thing at a funeral or a memorial of looking out. It's just like, who's there?
How few people.
And of course, that's what like then in the next sequence at the bar, Sean is like, well, what would people say about me if I died? Right? Like she failed her family and then like her husband blossomed, you know, with her daughter's messed up and her husband blossomed after she died. That's what they'll say about me. Her husband blossomed after she died.
Adam's like, all these cabinets are staying open.
But like the person who we've heard Nat say, like, Travis was my best friend. And we saw what losing him did to her. And, like, nobody who really knew her or loved her spoke for her. And, like, that was so heartbreaking. And I think for Nat and Ty and Shauna, it's like they do that in private because they can't do it in public, which I thought
because they know
sense.
A part of Nat that's not for
that's
public
not for other people. So that was actually kind of nice in private. But in general, it's just like, and everybody thinks that she died from a drug overdose. It's like the thing that Misty used to cover Jessica Roberts ends up being the lie. Like, oh, Natalie was an addict and Natalie died from a fentanyl overdose. And that's just so heartbreaking. It's just crushing.
It's absolutely. The fact that the people who are there.
Yes. Not Misty.
And that matters. Not you, Misty. Because nobody told her, but also
she knew. But it is so fucked up that they didn't tell her.
It is fucked up that they didn't tell her.
And then they make fun of her. They're like, is she listening through the salt shaker while making love to her parrot?
Before we get back to that, though, before we go to the bar, I just need to note that Shauna in the church says, holy fucking Christ, when she sees Nat's mom. And Jeff goes, church, Shauna, Jesus. I love this show. This show is great.
Jeff has never disappointed and he never will.
Randy and Jeff.
Here's the moment on every Yellowjackets podcast where two women talking about a show about women look at you and say, the two MVPs of this show
Randy and
Jeff.
But Van gets incredible lines at the bar, right?
It's true.
Shauna says before we survived, and Van says you can just say ate each other. And then that's when she says Lottie's in the facility for the differently sane, which is absolutely incredible. And then we get the first of 3 moments where we get someone watching them. And we've had moments like that and just like a little bit of hair that looks blondish to me.
Yeah. Yep. Like a dirty blonde.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a Mel-ish.
Like a Mel-ish. Ashy blonde. Maybe.
Like a Hilary Swank playing an adult Mel.
But Hilary Swank's
brownie blonde.
In the trailer, Hilary Swank's hair is brown. This is the number one thing that makes me wonder if she is playing Melissa.
Some like highlights?
Yeah. I'm like blondish. We've only seen we're kind of seeing like the halo of the hair.
Yeah.
But I think I love a hair watch.
You do love a hair watch.
So I think we have to be on hair watch for this. How blonde are the like fringes of the edges of someone's hair that we're seeing in these like watching versus Hilary Swank? The
way that Shauna felt that she was being watched.
Very good. All right, the Sudeikis.
They're the best. They're the best. They're the best. I mean, Misty is coming for their crown, but they do remain the best.
Callie ordering intestines when she hears Chloe
Swift
and her
eats.
shitties and
Swift eats.
We got a lot of in-universe stuff.
Yeah.
Swift eats, Repo divorcees.
Repo divorcees. now we know a plot line. Looking for the watch, and instead they find sex toys in the nightstand. Come on, was the watch going to be in the nightstand? No, the sex toys were going to be in the nightstand.
Do you think they were nice silicone sex toys or like chip your tooth? Could you chip a tooth? Could you chip a tooth? Good one, chip a tooth. If one wanted.
Oh my God.
So Callie's smoking chronic and acting out at school by throwing intestines on people that she doesn't like. Shauna's smoking chronic and acting out at home by, I guess, not closing cabinet doors.
All right. Callie's young. She's going through a lot. She's found out, as we were reminded in this episode, that her father's a blackmailer and her mother's a murderer. I don't want to judge. You do have to do a better job of storing your joints than this. First of all, under the makeup pads, it's pretty. Just so they were.
It was very aesthetic.
But
it was very
dry out.
Oh, well, it depends how quickly you use them.
You think she's just going through them so rapidly that it's not a problem?
Absolutely, I do.
Interesting.
I feel like this is the daily morning routine for Callie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You want her to put it in a sealed container.
Yeah, I want her to have a little container. I want her to maybe explore edibles.
You could put your weed in it, some gummy. Okay,
a little tougher for your mom to detect. And then steal?
Not much else to say, I think, about the Sudeikis in this plot line, except to go back to that moment where Callie is piling an obscene amount of whipped cream on her sundae, and she hears someone at the door. Someone has left something at the door. And it is a perhaps blonde person is watching her.
Very creepy.
Put all the whipped cream on there. The package says Shauna Shipman, and it's got the little the symbol on it. And it's got a little tape in it, which I think is a camcorder tape. That's what it looked like to me. Too thick to be sort of like a mini cassette. I think it's like a videotape. No clue what could be on it, but it looks like, a 1990s camcorder tape.
From Mel.
From Mel. From someone.
From Hilary Swank playing adult Mel.
Perhaps.
Is this not where you are? You think it's too obvious?
I think they're pointing us
back and forth. They want us to
They're pointing us in that direction. And so that makes me want to say
you pivot.
I mean,
you zag.
I'm going to zag real hard next week because between now and then I'm going to spend some time. I didn't have time to do this.
Yeah.
Workshopping who they might have secretly cast on Yellowjackets to play Mel. Like who is blonde? Because the eye color doesn't match between Hilary Swank and young Mel, and often they've been Reddit has been on this, right? They've been speculating this for a long time, and they're like watching the eye color, and they're like, because in the past to make these young actors match the older actors, they've used colored contacts and stuff like that.
Right.
Hilary Swank has brown eyes. Young Mel has light eyes, like your beautiful eyes. Mel has blonde hair. Hilary Swank has brown hair. Hair color doesn't matter. Shauna's a full on like ginger now in the woods. I don't know. Like the sun has really lightened her hair. But I'm open for it to be that. But I'm also open to just like, let's guess who's okay. hobbitsanddragons@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Is there an actress of your sort of Lauren Ambrose, Christina Ricci ilk, who like popped a bit in the 90s, who you could see as a better, I mean, Hilary Swank, strong of jaw, Mel, strong of jaw. Like there are connections that I like to make here, but is there anyone else that feels like they could be a Clea Duvall, like someone else from the 90s that feels like it could match for you, that they could secretly be having lurking around? But of course, if I'm going to get into that territory, then I feel like I'm back in like, is there a secret extra episodes of Yellowjackets in season 2?
Forgot about that.
Which is a pit we all fell into.
Oh, man.
By the way. So it probably is just Hilary Swank.
I completely forgot about that. That was really a thing we thought was going to happen.
They implied that it was going to happen.
That was really weird.
Okay.
Boy. I just want to shout out on the Jeff front.
Yeah.
His anxiety, peaks and valleys throughout these 2 episodes. He's really always trying to be. He's so happy when he thinks that
Shauna's remembered the dinner.
Yeah, I remember the dinner. Despondent when he realizes she hasn't. The fact that clearly Shauna, I know I'm jumping ahead now, like only agrees to allow Lottie to stay because she thinks it'll get her out of the dinner, and then it doesn't. Great stuff. But Jeff, the way that he said, "We're sure they weren't human." The guts, Shauna. And Shauna said, "Of course. Oh, of course they weren't. You can't just DoorDash human entrails."
Did she say DoorDash or did she say Swift Eats?
She said DoorDash.
That's interesting.
Which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
So Swift Eats, I guess, is a competitor for DoorDash
Yeah.
in this universe? Is it
Maybe
the
it's
Uber Eats?
maybe she shops locally. Maybe it's a local one. It's just Randy on his scooter doing his best.
Great stuff.
Okay. Walter and Misty. Okay, so here's the Valentine's Day present we got. We got Mari in a pit. No, what are you going to say?
The smoothie.
Yeah.
That Shauna made
Yeah.
for Jeff.
With bloobs on top.
I have a note. You can't just put 2 whole blueberries into a smoothie.
It's a garnish. It's simply a garnish.
It was insane.
Simply
what
garnish.
was that? 2? It's not a boba.
Do you think that they wouldn't do
2
that at Erewhon?
blueberries?
They wouldn't just like put a couple of bloobs, a bloob or 2 on top?
I don't know. When you're paying $28 for an Erewhon smoothie, you're opting into just as though you were going to a Jolly Hitcher revamp. The experience, Jolly Hitcher, of course, by the way, the hotel where Shauna and Adam first fucked because Shauna followed Jeff and Bianca. But there were strawberries.
Mallory watched all of season 1 and she wants you to know.
There were strawberries by the smoothie. And so it's just, our favorite Jeff moment other than there's no book club is, of course,
Strawberry lube.
could have gone strawberry. I almost did.
And
so
she went blueberry instead.
Well, there were strawberries cut. I would guess kale maybe or spinach for the green.
Oh, yeah.
Blueberries.
Put some powders, I'm
So
sure.
he sort of went. He went blueberry. He went strawberry.
Okay. I'm glad that you got to talk about your guy, Jeff. I need to talk about my guy, Walter. And here's the thing. This is what I threatened in season 2. I said, if they kill Walter,
Yes.
I will burn something down.
Mhm.
I will burn their cabin down.
Mhm.
I will throw them in a pit.
Yes.
Do you count character assassination as the murder of a character? Because I would like to report a crime.
Tell me.
And I believe that we have lost touch with what made Walter great in season 2. And we have just hastened our way
Mm-hmm.
towards oppressively cloying Walter in order to get him out the door. And I'm also worried he's never coming back. I'm really worried about that. Well, I don't know. So first of all, I don't know if Elijah Wood wants to be a regular in Yellowjackets. I don't know.
Okay.
But he should.
Mm-hmm.
He should be in every episode.
Yes.
But here's my concern.
Yeah.
Did not Misty send him away in season 2 only for him to return?
Yes.
How many times can they have Misty push him out for him to come back is my question.
Very good question. Here, let me present a theory to you. When in episode 2, because we have a series of they're not on the same page. Misty is, of course, in a
Grieving.
deep state of mourning. She is carrying this immense shame and guilt over
She would burn dicks if she could. She would light dicks on fire if she could.
I lit dicks on fire. And she has. We saw it at the bar. With the guy, the other citizen detective who had the information, they poured the gas on his crotch. She was not.
I remembered that, but when she just like threw a little bit of beer on them,
and then just kind of plopped down. Great stuff.
I don't think like a few sprinkles of Bud
It's not
Light
gonna be
is
enough to light a dick on
light.
fire. No. Well,
You're working with a tea light
yeah.
and like a few sprinkles of Bud Light. That's not going to get us there.
She's wearing the Nat jacket at that point because Walter he was right to put the key down and know that would get her out of bed.
He gave himself a little smile and I was like, you were right. No, I mean, the thing
that
is,
was good.
Walter's right about everything.
Right. Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
He's right about everything, but he's pushing too hard.
Okay, so here's my theory. Let me throw this at you. When Misty gets home from the sleepover, Walter's like, it's not a sleepover. It's 11 o'clock.
And they let you drive absolutely hammered on red.
That was fucked up.
It was so fucked up.
Fucked up.
Misty, do you have a drinking problem? And then put her in the fucking car?
Shauna, who is the best, is also the worst.
Shauna's terrible, but it was very much in character. But
I think like Walter, everything he's saying to Misty is true and right.
Exactly.
Like,
he's right.
They are using you. They're never here for you when you need them. It was devastating when he was like, the bar, I'm here because they
got all the way to
W before anyone answered. You have hit pause. Tell me. What's the note?
Oh, well, I don't think that.
Is it that you don't go through contacts? You would go through recent calls, and Walter would definitely just be the first call.
Walter would be like the only person who ever talks to her.
Yeah.
I don't think they went all the way through W. I think it's possible that they might have tried other people, but like, I feel like they didn't go through every single contact because no one at the bar is going through it. They would throw it in the trash before they waited to get down to W.
They go to your texts or like your recent calls. So I do think they would have tried Shauna and Ty and Van. Probably. They're in the call log, not answering, but there is an outgoing
Not
call.
texting about the memorial service.
Certainly
but,
not. Very rough. But, Walter is it's an interesting dynamic in a relationship because he's telling Misty, and that's like part of what you should hopefully be able to provide a partner is like, let me help you see something clearly. These people are taking advantage of you. They don't care for you.
But
they don't give you
doing it with any finesse.
Right.
At all.
It's so heavy and like.
And it's hurtful to her in this moment. To the point where it's almost, I know it's not sinister because Walter, though he has murdered people, is a sweet angel baby and genuinely cares for her. I believe that to be true.
Him.
It's like isolating.
Yeah.
They don't care about you. I'm the only one who
you.
cares about you. This is like cult leader behavior of just sort of like,
totally.
They don't want you. I want you. I'm here for you. And so like,
look how I love you. Yeah, it's too much. She's right to say it's too much.
I'm Team Walter so hard, and this is really upsetting to me.
It's a lot. And also I think the thing that Misty throws back at him, which is like, if you want to be in my life, then like the things that are important to me, you have to try to understand. It is the other side of it.
And don't air quote my friend.
That was great. But like, okay, so she says to him, when this is like when she actually finally kicks him out, and she says to him,
the sign on Walter's on Caligula's cage is not going to solder itself.
It's
like
Wednesday,
you know,
and on Wednesdays we clean Caligula's cage. Okay, she says, Walter, sometimes I forget that you can't possibly understand relationships forged in life or death experiences. See, us survivors, we're not sitting around keeping some petty log of who needed what when. Our bond just runs deeper than that. His face changed there in a, I thought, notable way. And my theory is now that Walter is going to want to put him and Misty in a life and death experience together.
So that they can bond.
So that they can have this bond. And because he, as you said, loves murder.
Walter!
Loves
my
murder.
hope out of season 2, out of the things that happened at the end of season 2, is that we would get more Jeff and Walter.
I mean, yeah,
content.
it was just a taste.
So do you think perhaps, okay, I think you're probably right.
He could try to just kill Shauna to eliminate her.
I think this is,
I think he's going to be like, Misty, let's forge that bond.
I think you're so right.
Does he enlist Joel McHale to do it?
This is a real Heather's situation. But the other I think you're probably more right. Let me just introduce another possibility, which is that he goes to Jeff because he and Jeff did survive a life and death situation together.
And he's like, we have this bond now.
We have this bond.
Do you think they're going to call Randy?
They can bro down together.
I mean, Walter slapped Randy in the face on a boat while pretending to be an FBI agent. That's a bond.
And that was great.
It was.
And that was wonderful.
It was wonderful.
Okay.
Oh, Walter.
Just shout out the posters on Misty's Bedroom Wall, which was Phantom of the Opera and Follies, 2 great musicals. Again, and these are like theater. Mm-hmm. What I want to always underline about Misty's musical obsession is that she likes a stage production. She's not about the movie adaptations.
No, she's not about Eric either.
She's not. She's got beef with him. What is it? All meetings are murder unless they're about murder.
Yeah, she doesn't go to the board anymore.
Incredible name. Walter also says Natalie's Myers-Briggs type plus lifelong nomadic tendencies. Killer lines from Walter
stuff.
there. But she's got Phantom of the Opera and Follies, and there's a third poster, and I couldn't figure out what it was because I don't know if we've mentioned it yet, but we could not pause these screeners in a way that gave us a freeze frame. So hobbitsanddragons@gmail.com. If you source that third poster, I would like to know what it was.
The other place that I was like, I would make an offering in the wilderness to be able to get a clear freeze frame here was in the storage locker.
Yes.
Like, what is Misty finding? Obviously, we know she finds the jacket because she takes it. We see like a mugshot. We see the team photo. We see some cassette tapes. But 2 questions. 1, were there any other interesting nuggets there that we couldn't clock on the screeners? And 2, it's not like Misty got through every single box. So what is in there? Like, what awaits discovery? I don't think you take us to a storage.
No.
To the storage locker.
Just to get the jacket.
The Porsche and the rifle, just to get the jacket. Something else is in there.
Follow-up question for you. Of all the cat-based sweatshirts.
Oh, the teal one.
Okay.
The teal one was wonderful. It was, I actually was like, I mean, as you know, I'm in my crew neck sweatshirt phase. My Nick Nelson face. I thought that was great. And I was like, I probably am going to try to find it.
Would you wear it with the leather jacket on top?
I don't have a leather jacket, though I've always wanted one. I love a jacket.
Can I do your eyeliner?
You can try.
Okay. Misty downing 7 shots of rail whiskey with the thick eyeliner.
That dude, by the way, am I nuts? That bartender is the carjacker guy from Shauna's not the one who took the van,
Yeah.
but when she went back to the chop shop and held a gun on him, and he went from like, oh yeah, you're not prepared to do it, to like pissing himself and quaking as he watched her and we watched in horror. Like, Shauna likes it. She wants to be in control. She wants to hurt other people.
Yeah.
That's that guy.
Is it?
I think so.
Okay.
I believe so. I wonder if that's like, I don't know why they would do that.
Hobbiesanddragons@gmail.com. They're just fleshing out the universe.
Maybe
Mallory.
he moved off of
Maybe this is his night job.
chop shop work.
Maybe he's got multiple jobs. Oh,
Shauna
scared
him into
straight by Shauna.
honest work.
Into
Just putting out dick fires at the local bar.
Do you have to go to school for that?
No, it's the school of life.
Cherry Bomb by the Runaways plays while
Good stuff.
Misty's housing shots of whiskey, and it made me look. I just felt really ill watching that. Life's a game, and we're all in the middle.
You can't do your taxes this early. You can do them early, Joe, but not this early.
I almost clipped that as an audio clip, but we don't have time. We're running out of time.
That's so funny.
Lottie and Misty and the Sadeckis, particularly Callie, and also the Joels in present day. We're going to do all of this, and we're going to get to Van and Ty in a second. We've talked about the bloobs on the smoothie. You hated it. Lottie's here.
Yeah.
Goop Sorceress.
The best. I'm calling you that from now on.
You've already called me that.
And I will continue. Goop Sorceress was incredible.
Purple people futon is something that Jeff says. Can she sleep on a purple people futon?
It's a fair question. It's
Wonderful
a completely fair
stuff
question.
But Callie's the one who's like, excuse me.
Right.
Like, murder, accomplished a murder, attempted murder. Like, we are a wacky modern family.
Right.
Let this cult leader into our home. Right. It'll be fine.
But like everybody else, she has an ulterior motive. This isn't actually like,
she's
she has that nice line
about
like forgiveness, right? This has been
that's bullshit.
But she's like, tell me about it.
Of course.
Can't wait to get Misty drunk. She wants to learn from Lottie. They're obsessed with each other.
Yeah. It's not going to go well. It's going to be upsetting.
I think this was inspired though.
Oh, this is a great
Lottie in the Sadecki home.
Oh, this is a great thing to do with Callie. They struggled a bit in season 1 with the Callie stuff, I think. And then in season 2, when she got sort of wrapped into the main storyline, was a bit better.
Yes.
But now that she's all the way in, like, this is, I think, really good.
I miss Kyle.
Do you?
Yeah, he got a mention from the Mean Girls.
Yeah.
They're like, let's call Kyle and see if Callie's into freaky shit too. But
Chloe
still,
sucks.
I do think back fondly to them. But there was like Callie like kicking him out from the couch, and he was like, "What the fuck." But when she's like sleeping over at his house and she breaks up with him because he's like various reasons, but including in real time him looking at his phone. And then he's like, my mom just like wanted to know if we wanted chocolate chip pancakes. Kyle.
You love a hot dummy. Stay tuned for our White Lotus coverage. Okay.
Oh my God.
Misty shows up to babysit because when people call, she answers, and she's like, "Lottie's here. Is this my intervention?"
She would be flattered by that. The
She's
idea
like,
that they would care
Is
enough.
this my intervention?
This was heartbreaking.
Oh,
like heartbreaking.
Misty's never been to a sleepover.
Oh my God, that was fucking
devastating.
Like Lottie and Callie both being like, never been to a sleepover. But Misty constantly allowing herself to be used by Shauna using her this way, all of them using her this way. Like,
for some reason, it didn't hurt as much. I don't know why, from Nat, because Nat was at least like more direct with her frustration. She was like more honest with like how frustrated she was by Misty, and like Shauna says stuff or but they were like more snickering behind her back,
which
in
is
a mean girl way, whereas Nat is like to her face, you're the worst.
Yeah, like when Misty and Nat in the Wilderness timeline in the double premiere are looking, and Misty's like, we can. It's like we could pretend like we're on a road trip, and you think back to like what was happening on that actual road trip, and Misty maneuvering her way in by pulling the car wires, and that's like, you're a fucking psycho. Like why it was always like out front with them. You're right. That is a crucial distinction in the relationships. And like, I don't know, Misty just continuing even at the end of this night to be like, I had this time with my friends, and it's just like, I don't know. It's really crushing. I just want Misty to be okay, even though she has her body count is really high and she's not stable.
I was thinking about this when I was like, I just want Misty and Walter to be okay. And I'm like, why do you want that? They've killed multiple people. And I also know it's never going to be okay for them because you can't go home again. I don't think there's happy endings for anyone except for Jeff, who's going to flourish after they're all dead. But like,
will Elijah Wood in this show say that they saved the Shire, but not for them?
Still hurts my old wound. But I was thinking about, I was like, it's like when I would watch Succession, I was like, I just want these poor children to hug each other and be friends with each other. And it was never, I was like talking about this with Sean and Bill, and they're like, you're watching the wrong show. And I just have to keep telling myself that with Yellowjackets. That's not the show we're watching. Yeah. I don't think there are happy endings for any of these people at all. Misty might be getting pushed around by everyone, but let's just can we run through some of her greatest hits?
Please.
Lottie, looks like the pantry has never once been alphabetized. The aforementioned M for mac and cheese, P for pasta, N for and cheese.
Inspired.
And then my favorite, so they just let you right out of the hospital, huh? To
Joe,
Lottie.
it turns out they couldn't keep her for disagreeing with her religious beliefs.
Just incredible stuff. This is also, I thought, better stuff for Lottie than I feel like most of season 2 was.
Yeah.
I think this is setting adult Lottie up to be like that performer and that character to work better inside the mix of the show.
Yeah, and it's interesting too to track across both timelines. I like that we're Lottie is in and out of not even just the tether between this like either supernatural or the visions or the hallucinations or her faith, whatever wrapper you want to put on it, but like her fear of that or her embrace of it. In season 2, and we find out, of course, that there are hallucinations, but when it seems briefly like she is going to see her
I would just like to put on the record that I always thought that therapist was fake.
Your regular guy's on a sabbatical, but don't worry.
So it's me.
I'm here.
Delusion doctor.
And I'm going to tell you that you shouldn't ignore those visions. Lottie was expressing terror, right? Like, I can't go back. The things that happened were not things that she wanted to invite again. When she makes her offering, let this be enough. Like, please, can't this be enough? And then we build toward, of course, her bloodlust to pull the card and go on the hunt and offer Shauna up. The great moment in this episode when Callie's like, were you really going to kill my mom? And Misty's like, well, and Lottie's like, actually, yes. Like, it chooses.
It chooses.
And so right now she is in such an active phase of believing again that this is important, that it is necessary. And like we hear her say to Travis in the past, if we don't know, how can we give it what it wants, right? And so to understand that for Lottie, this is like the ebb and flow. It's not like she establishes that clarity and that it maintains it forever. Yeah. It's a constant process of feeling like she's lost that understanding and seeking it anew, and that's dangerous for her and other people.
Something that's always also really important for her particular Myers-Briggs personality test is when we met Lottie in season 1, she's a rich girl, but like in this really cold, isolated kind of home. And so this idea of her desire for connection, community, and like the idea of being connected to the very roots of the trees, like the wilderness is your connection, or you've got a whole commune of purple people. That is your family. You've built this like community around her. Yeah. And then here she shows up again. We don't think completely on the level, but here she shows up to like embed herself inside of the Sadecki family. Yes. It's just sort of like, will that connection to Callie, will it fill that need that she has to feel connection, or is she so stuck in this sort of delusion of her own importance, or she does not buy any of the explanations of Yellowjackets season 1 and 2 that do not involve the supernatural,
for sure,
or
will Shauna just poison her with the expired dog medicine because she doesn't want her near her kid, and that's a wrap on Lottie?
Or is Lottie going to go on repo divorces? Who's to say? They're all very messy, but they're fun to watch. So there's all of that. Okay.
Oh, man.
Meanwhile, the best worst business dinner ever. Shauna, understandably perturbed that she has left Callie alone with Misty and Lottie, is constantly on her phone. And we meet Joel and Nathan, or the Joels. If you prefer.
The Joels.
And this is when Shauna, who's the worst, is definitely the best.
This was great.
When she absolutely grinds, I believe it's Nathan and Joel, right?
Yes.
So the one that she grinds to pace is actual Joel.
Yeah.
Nathan,
guy, Joe.
Nathan a little fishy.
You think so?
I don't know.
You think so?
Either he's just a dick who like cares too much about someone being on their phone.
Yeah.
But I don't know. He
Phone's
was
on the
giving her
table
like
again.
weird looks.
Yeah.
So I have some questions about Nathan.
Okay.
Joel, however,
Yeah.
self-made man.
Yeah. That's a humble guy.
Just what did your dad do? I loved that moment because when the minute he said self-made man, I was like, what the fuck did your dad do, Joel?
Yeah.
And then Sean was like, what'd your dad do, Joel?
Yeah. Real estate.
Also
what
was
kind?
In hotels?
2
self-made real estate hotel guys in one generation, one family. Amazing stuff.
Wonderful.
And then what does she say? She's like, she calls him a little boner, right?
Yeah. You painful little boner.
You absolutely do not exist, you fucking nothings. In among all of that, and in among Jeff selling his soul by saying his stock does indeed fuck, his credenzas are a regular fuck fest. I feel bad for Joel. I feel bad for Jeff, and I feel that Jeff is like right later when he's like,
this was important to me.
It's not all about you.
Yeah.
It's not the Shauna show 24/7.
Yeah.
You couldn't fucking show up for this.
Jeff has given... There are plenty of people who would not still be here.
Shauna, like when Shauna ordered the ceviche, it was like she was a hero. Like she had just swooped in for the like that's what he needed. Mm-hmm. Someone who knows what a fucking tapa is,
right?
What Shauna does, and that's what he needed. And like it's very little. It's like, very little that he's asking from her for this dinner.
I think like is often the case, you know, because she actually thinks that she's being noble and his great defender. Like you don't deserve his furniture, but she didn't give him the thing he asked, which was support to land the deal, and that sucks. I do like that we got a credenza callback to their brief attempt at role play.
They also mentioned armoire in the role play. That was my callback earlier, was
Great
to
stuff.
the armoire.
Great stuff.
Okay. Anyway, Misty vomits up the red. It's all terrible, but most importantly, at the restaurant, Shauna has like, someone, perhaps blonde, has followed her into the bathroom.
Hillary Swank is adult Mel.
Has followed her into the bathroom, left a cell phone behind.
Horrifying.
The cell phone rings.
The turning off the lights actually freaked me out. I thought that was the scariest moment.
When she comes out with the
keys. Yeah, like that's. Ugh.
The cell phone is ringing.
Actually, I think the single scariest thing in the 2 episodes was just Shauna sitting clothed on a public toilet.
You're such a special person to
Absolutely.
me.
It's a no. It's a no for me.
It's not the eldritch screeching in the woods. No. Okay. The ringtone on the cell phone is Queen of Hearts by Jay Suit in 1981. Got it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Van and Ty. Mm-hmm. What do I want to say? I mean, I do want to run through the needle drops we get in this incredible storyline, which is like Ty takes Van out to a fancy dinner she does not want, does realize pretty quickly that she doesn't want that. They dine and dash. Mm-hmm. This waiter follows them. He dies.
He's pulled out from getting hit by a bus, but
and then has a coronary event. Did they manifest that? There's this weird ISO shot on Van right before she leaves the restaurant.
Yeah. I mean, we see No Eyes right after this, so there's that association with this concept of like the wilderness.
And then later, Ty
claiming a sacrifice
gives the matchbox from the restaurant as this sort of like offering on this like altar, this ofrenda sort of thing.
Yes.
The name of the restaurant is Padame, I think is how you would pronounce it. Maybe Padam, perhaps.
Whatever you say.
Which means a man without soul. Without a soul. Great stuff. Here are some needle drops we get. I Think We're Alone Now by Tiffany, 1987. Incredible as they're running through the streets. It's great. And then I rewatched that music video, which is an all-timer of like 80s mall culture. Glycerine by Bush.
This is I'll just spoil that this was my favorite of the episode and of the show to date.
This is also mine.
Yes! This is one of my favorite songs when I was like a young person.
Let's just do needle drop corner now. We usually save it for the end. We pick our favorite needle drop. Mine is definitely Glycerine by Bush. I need to tell you.
Tell me.
Freshman year of high school. Yeah. Rolling Stone cover, Gavin Rossdale, black leather pants, nothing else. This was my everything.
I'm very
Gavin
familiar
Rossdale
with this.
Seems like he sucks as a person.
super hot.
But was one of the most beautiful people ever
Yeah.
in 1996.
Yeah, I had a gigantic crush on him. I had a harrowing moment last night where I Googled him and saw that he was 59 and I felt the passage of time so keenly. I just didn't understand how that could be possible. Like,
If you
where
ask
have
me
the years gone?
If you ask me what the top 5 most important magazine covers ever were,
That's up there.
it's Gavin Rossdale on the cover of Rolling Stone, Ewan McGregor with the rooster on the cover of Vanity
I
Fair.
would have thought that was your number one, so.
Yeah, and then
one
like
and
I don't know what I'll think about 3 through 5, but like those are 1 and 2 for me.
Yeah, we have to be more careful when we do impromptu top 5s. I'm still haunted by not having Pushing Daisies as one of my best pilots a couple days ago. Received so many texts from people in my life about it. So.
I also just need everyone to know that this Rolling Stone magazine is not one that I purchased or owned at any point. It was in my high school's library. They had like some magazines in there, and they had
went to look at it a lot.
no, like all my friends and I would just like go into the library together and talk about the Gavin Rossdale Rolling Stone cover.
Beautiful.
They just put like straight up pornography in the library for us. Thanks.
Oh man, when Glycerine hit, it was great.
So good.
That was an instant rewind to just and that also that was a sexy scene.
Oh, yeah.
It gets creepy really quickly, but like the way that they find because there's that moment earlier where Ty's like just like come to my bed. Like why can't we be together?
Yeah. And it's like, we needed to do crime together.
They needed to dine and dash, but like you just the magnetic pull that has always been there between them.
We get a bit more information as you are fresher off your rewatch.
Mm-hmm.
When Van said you needed to break up with me for the sheen of respectability, but you wound up gay anyway, to me, and I haven't done my full season 2 rewatch, but is that the most explicit explanation for why they broke up?
That's
new information. Okay, great. Okay. I also want to mention that even though we get Van doing like previously on Yellowjackets and her whole MC thing, we also get Van in present day singing karaoke to Virtual Insanity by Jamiroquai.
Yes, on a microphone that definitely also looked like a sex toy.
Oh, So I once got that microphone as swag. It was branded for the Kelly Clarkson show, so I'm quite familiar with that particular karaoke microphone, but I did not think of it as something one could chip one's tooth on.
It looked like a tooth chipper to
me. A real tooth chipper. Got it.
But I think I might just be like thinking of that scene in Peacemaker where he's using the vibrator as a microphone, and that's the association, I think. Totally normal.
You're my most special person.
Our brains are just cooked.
Absolutely cooked.
Ty and Van. A lot of lies lying to each other.
Van lies about going to urgent care. She definitely didn't go to urgent care. We don't know where she was all day.
Also, like, I mean, obviously Van is confronting her imminent death.
Yeah.
Right?
Terminal cancer diagnosis.
And back in the wilderness, like Van, that vulnerable moment where Van was like last season, maybe even season 1, like I thought I kept surviving these things for a reason, right? I thought I had a purpose. And Van's relationship to the idea of mortality has always been so interesting.
When she objects, when they're like sort of self-eulogizing in the bar, and she's like, listen, no one's dying tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah.
And so like how much of, the paperwork that Ty's checking in on, like, well, I signed the DNR, but like none of the other things. And when she cuts her foot, even the stepping on the glass, like felt very like it needs a drop of blood here to me,
That bothered me so much because the camera was obviously like lingering on the glass to show us that she was going to step on it.
That's one of the shots in the
like,
credits too, the glass fracture.
Oh, and Misty vomiting the red is also in the
red's great stuff. But like Van comes home, she immediately grabs a beer. It seemed like she was did you think she seemed already drunk?
Yeah.
And so
100%.
like just Ty not telling her
moaning and slurping on that
well, not saying when she saw No Eyes the night before, not revealing that the waiter died, even though certainly Van would have some thoughts about what that meant. I mean, we're coming off the chorus from multiple characters last season, from Nat, from Lottie, of like, we brought it back. It came with us. And so it's just a question of like when that bubbles to the fore and they can't avoid talking about it with each other. But I'm feeling the absence of that candor between the two of them right now. Very sad.
When they do connect, it's very sweet. I did think so ceviche is pickled raw fish essentially, and they were eating foie gras, which is raw liver. Does
foie gras have to be raw?
Yes, I believe so.
No. It can be like sauteed or.
I think it's supposed to be raw.
No.
Okay. This is where I admit I don't spend a lot of time eating foie gras, but I was like pretty sure it's raw. Is it not?
I think you definitely could have a hot preparation of a foie gras. Right?
Okay, I believe you. It sounds like you've had more foie gras than I have in my life.
I have only
Hobbits and
had
Dragons
it,
at gmail.com.
I think I've actually only had it maybe once ever at Animal. But
okay, anyway.
I believe
my
it
interpretation, and it's
yeah.
fine. It's fine if you and all the foodies out there disagree with me. My interpretation is this is a literal candy coating of raw meat, sort of like with the red smear on the plate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
this sort of like civilizing of their sort of animalistic past. I don't know.
Okay.
All right, we got to speed through. We're running out of time. Let's just say a couple other things. Mel has a smooch with Shauna in the woods.
Yes.
That happens. And the cut back and forth of Shauna with the excellent payoff of call the manager, ask to speak to the manager energy. Incredible instant payoff of that. When she asks to speak to the manager, when she is asking what did the person look like who came in to get the phone.
Yeah.
And then we cut to Melissa in the woods smooching Shauna.
Yes.
So obviously the show is trying to point us in that direction, which is why every instinct in my body is like,
it's something else.
It's something else.
Yeah,
but listen, sometimes it's just the simplest explanation is the explanation.
Yeah, like the symbol on the envelope, which Callie hides, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think my initial assumption when I see that is, it is somebody who was connected to them out there. But certainly it's established in the show that doesn't have to be the case. I mean, Jeff was using the symbol on the postcards to blackmail them.
Yeah.
The Sunshine Honey community of Lottie's, they were wearing the symbol on their pendant. Like the symbol, a number of different people it could be a purple person.
What if it's just a purple person?
There to offer a futon.
There you go.
It's entirely possible. I'm allowing myself to be duped by the cut and assuming it's adult Mel, but who knows?
It's a very reasonable. There's other options. What if we're getting like relatives of people who died in the woods this season? Yeah. As you mentioned, Joel McHale's on this season, Hillary Swank's on this season, and Evans Johnson are new cast members this season. So we could get like someone who is related to someone who died in the woods, or someone who's related to Adam who died in season 1, and that's still sort of like a dangling.
I wonder if we're done with that, or if that's going to still be a thing. Interesting.
It's like what set a lot of things in motion at the end of season 2. So, something to think about. Anything else you want to mention? I think we talked about all of our Lost references, the hatch, the pit, a supply drop, the smoke monster-esque sound in the woods. We've talked about our needle drops and that go Google that Gavin Rossdale Rolling Stone cover. If you've never seen it, that dude sucks, but he was very good looking. Anything else?
Oh, man. No, I don't think so. Strong double premiere. I'm hyped to be back. I'm excited for what awaits. As always,
I'm excited to go
terrified.
1 episode at a time. 2 episodes is a lot to cover in one podcast, so we did our best, but here we are. hobbitsanddragons@gmail.com if you want to talk to me about my foie gras ignorance or anything
don't
else.
know. I can't claim to be an expert. I can't. I like the red smear call out. I think we covered a lot of the theories off of the first couple episodes. I'm intrigued by what you said about the Mari Ben possibility, because like the idea of her just escaping and ratting him out. Why? Maybe she's like, actually, I'd rather stay with you. Yeah. Why not? Maybe we end up with multiple warring tribes.
I would rather get a mug with hot cocoa than a mug with fucking mushroom tea in it.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah.
Berry wine, though, that's a different question. Okay.
Boy. The booze. The booze that they make out in the wilderness.
House of R, Yellowjackets, season 3, episode 1 and 2. I'm really excited for the rest of the season. I cannot wait. And probably next week, if we have time, we'll go through the opening. I wanted to go through opening credits and talk about all the new stuff in there, but like we had a lot to talk about. So we didn't have time to do that today. We'll have time for your emails next week. I'm really excited about that. If you've got thoughts about tooth chipping devices or anything else, email us. Thanks to
great stuff.
Our all dude team on this episode.
That's right.
Who had to listen to us talk about all of this. Stephen Ahlman, John Richter, Arjuna Ramgopal, and Jomi and Adeniran on the social. We'll be back next week. Bye.